Then hello, welcome and bienvenue. I'm out of Nick. I'm pressing the wrong faders.
Oh, what?
I know. Welcome to the Armors Inquisition episode 419 on Sunday, the 12th of April, 2026. I'm Phil.
I am Ben.
And I am Matt.
And tonight we're very happy to be joined by author researcher Ronnie Pontiac. How are you doing, Ronnie? Are you reading us?
I'm good. I'm reading you beautifully, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, we're really excited to have you. I was saying just before you joined us, I was saying to the two lads that I'd heard you on a few of our mates' podcasts, like Mark Steve's, My Family Thinks I'm Crazy, and you really have like an encyclopedic knowledge on all these sort of occult, esoteric subjects. So I'm absolutely thrilled that you've agreed to share your time with us, and I'm sure the people in the chat are looking forward to it as well.
Thank you.
Just so before I forget, anyone who's watching live on YouTube or Twitch, drop your questions in the live chat, and time permitting, we'll get round to as many as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But the main reason for you joining us, Ronnie, is this book, which I have a cover of here, The Rosicrucian Counterculture, The Origins and Influence of the Invisible Society. So, that's an intriguing topic. From bits that I've read about Rosicrucianism, there's quite a bit of confusion over how it started and when it started. Were you able to come to any sort of firm conclusions on that matter?
No. I think we have a pretty good guess of how it happened. And as you may know, for a long time, there was a sense that this was supernatural to some degree, that it was a gathering of adepts who very deliberately created this new force in European culture that was rooted deeply in Western esoteric history. But it appears from the most modern research, because we've had a revolution in research and academia since about 2000, where finally academia decided that these areas of study were worthy, and they were able to reach archives that no one was able to reach before. And it really changed the perception of what was going on there. So from my research, based on their research, it seems to me that the people behind the Rosicrucian manifestos were students who were under the influence of radical professors and radical books. Some of them quite old, like the almost century-old works of Ficino, the father of the Florentine Renaissance, who translated so many of the classics of pagan philosophy, like the Hymns of Orpheus, the Platonic Dialogues, and also the Hermetica, and also an author like Giordano Bruno. And it's important to understand the context of the times, and they resonate in some ways with our own times. It's very interesting. Around 1600, actually in 1600, Bruno himself was burned at the stake. He was a genius, and he surmised, for example, that the earth went around the sun, not the sun around the earth, and that was a heresy. He believed in reincarnation, and he believed that the roots of Western esoteric knowledge, and of even Christianity to a degree, was in ancient Egypt. And the Vatican was very upset with all this, and they wanted him to admit his guilt. He refused, and so he was rewarded for his intellectual honesty with a good burning at the stake. And that was a clear message that the church was sending in the beginning of this 17th century to the world, that they were not going to be tolerating any of this. They had lost control over Europe, at least of Northern Europe and parts of Western Europe, the UK, for example. And they were trying to regain it. The Jesuits had been formed with a 200-year plan in the hope of reclaiming all the lost territory for the church. And we have to remember that right now we're dealing with this huge structure of a surveillance state that's being rolled out all over the world. But there was a surveillance state at that time, and it was the confessional. All Catholics had to report to the confessional and tell the truth, otherwise they would burn eternally. Priests were obligated to report potentially useful information or risky information to the Vatican or to their authorities. It could go all the way up to the Pope. So there was this incredible ability to find out what was happening at all levels, because even if the nobles were going to shirk their duty for a confessional, they had servants who were observing what was happening at court. And there was this meticulous hierarchical control where you had the Pope at the top like a king, and then you had these structures all the way down with less and less power and less knowledge the further down you got. And even amongst the Protestants, like with the Calvinists, for example, there was the same kind of hierarchical structure and the same fatalism. Science is bad. God is in charge of everything that happens. You can't question it, even if it's obviously something horrendous. And your fate is predetermined to some degree. In the Catholic Church, of course, you could have a little bit of leniency. You could buy an indulgence and get away with your sins. But in Calvinism, for example, if you were born to be damned, it didn't matter how well you lived your life or how much you regretted your sins, you were still going to be damned. Wow. In the meantime, up in the heavens, all this activity was going on. There was this supernova. There were comets that were coming by. There was a great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, which was considered to be the star of Jesus. And so these were taken to be omens of radical change that would occur in the 1600s. So, of course, the Catholic astrologers, and there were Catholic astrologers, they predicted it was the end of the Protestant Revolution. The Lutherans, the Calvinists, they would all be swallowed up by Mother Church again. And on the Protestant side, there were all kinds of prophecies that this was the end of the papacy, that this was the last pope, and that there would be this wave of reform that would sweep over Europe and liberate it. The Rosicrucians come in here, and I don't think that I don't think they would consider themselves, in a sense, Rosicrucians, although they coined the term, and I'll explain that. They come in and they release this first manifesto, and it wasn't even really released. It was a manuscript that was created by an author or a group of authors. It was a unique new form of literature. Some modern scholars have compared it to magical realism or to science fiction, but it had some very serious differences between the Protestant and Catholic authorities and this burgeoning kind of underground counterculture that they were part of. And one of those differences was a belief in science, in the idea that God had placed wisdom that was going to be helpful to humanity in nature, and that a sincere explorer, an alchemist, or someone like Paracelsus, for example, who went and they researched nature, would find cures and would find inventions that would improve human life, and that this was intended by God. Also, the Rosicrucian manifestos were not hierarchical. This was a revolutionary new idea about how knowledge should be shared. It was not from the top down. There was not control and obedience. This was about a kind of horizontal, if you will, transmission of knowledge. It wasn't about earning your degree or becoming sanctioned in some way, initiated into a higher order so you could reach this new higher level of knowledge. It was about asking the right questions. It was about having the right kind of curiosity and the right kind of open-mindedness. And then that knowledge could travel between people who were speaking different languages, because a symbolic language was developed that was able to reach past the differences in languages. And so this functioned in a way as an awakening force. In the beginning, it was only a manuscript. They didn't intend to publish it. And the manuscript would be hand copied and would only be shared between people who recognized that the person they were going to share it with had these same interests, were part of this same countercultural point of view that a new generation was quietly championing. And at first, many of these people felt that they were freaks, that they were fringe, and that they were certainly in danger because these heresies could get them killed. But then when the manuscripts reached a fellow by the name of Moritz the Learned, who was a Bohemian nobleman who had ideas about how there should be a war between the Protestants and the Catholics. He believed the Protestants would win most likely. In any event, he thought that his kingdom would prosper from this kind of a confrontation. He didn't ask anybody's permission, and he simply published the first of the manifestos, the Fama, in 1614, which must have been a shock to the people who actually wrote it. They refer to themselves as an invisible society, and of course, over time, this has been taken literally the way the Bible's taken literally. So people thought, whoa, the Rosicrucians had the power of invisibility. They could simply disappear at will. Well, they were invisible because if they were known, they were dead. And so they didn't want anybody to know their identities. And when the Fama came out in book form, and books that were printed in this way were relatively a new thing. It was an improvement in the printing process that allowed the mass publication of pamphlets and of books. It was like a bomb that exploded. People reacted on both sides in very extreme ways. So, for example, there were many books and pamphlets, hundreds of them, were published in the immediate aftermath that attacked the Rosicrucians and attacked their ideas. They were called the Devil's Jesuits, and they were accused of being this plot against Christianity and just filled with heresies. But then on the other side, there were all these people who were thrilled by this idea, who were interested in science, who were interested in what the Rosicrucians call the Universal Reformation or the General Reformation, the idea that there could be this reformation of the world and that science could be the way that it occurred. And there was this implicit challenge to the church and to the church's military arm, the Holy Roman Empire. And part of this was inspired by a fellow by the name of Rudolph II, who was Holy Roman Emperor in Prague. He was a fascinating character. I wish we could really get deeply into him. I'll give you a little bit about him. He was a very uncomfortable Holy Roman Emperor. He really didn't like being emperor. He liked aspects of it. He liked, for instance, in his castle, he had a huge chamber that was filled with alchemists. And he had his own alchemical lab in the same room. And every morning he would go around to all the different alchemists and he would see how they were doing. And he would do his own experiments and make suggestions. He had another similar chamber that was filled with artists. And so he brought some of the greatest artists in Europe to his castle. And they would work at their paintings and their sculpture. And he would also do some painting and have suggestions about how they might improve their work. And he had the founders of the art of astronomy, who were also astrologers at the time, at the castle, inventing telescopes, the very first telescopes. And so from that point of view, he enjoyed being an emperor. He enjoyed collecting rarities and being given gifts like a lion that used to follow him around like a cat in the castle. And he loved women. He had this door to his private quarters that had this infamous door knocker on it. It was made of gold, and it was a naked, kneeling woman. And the knocker was, you could imagine what it was, and you would knock, and it would go right through her mouth, right? So it was like he was giving a hint. Yeah, he was giving a hint, to the ladies who were being delivered to his door about what to expect. And he also had those great artists that were working for him creating pornography. And in that room, he had these incredible erotic paintings. So all those things, he seems to me like a 1960s hippie almost dropped into into 1600, into the late 1500s. And that he loved, but he hated the politics. He hated the bureaucracy. He hated having to deal with the Vatican. And he had a deep interest in alchemy, the occult, Kabbalah. He would get together with a rabbi in Prague and learn about the Kabbalah. And he actually issued an edict of religious tolerance, which was a huge revolution in Europe, where he allowed freedom of religion in Prague. And so you could circulate with people of other religions and share secrets and information. And he was interested in magic, and he attracted around himself some of the leading figures of the day. Even John Dee showed up there. And wow. John Dee was at the heart of this idea that if Rudolph would simply declare himself something like Plato's philosopher king, the Hermetic emperor, that he could stand against the Pope and champion the Protestants, and that he could be the one who brought this universal Reformation. And so John Dee came to the court, and this was at the time when he was doing his experiments with Enochian angel language and such. And he told Rudolph, the Enochian, the angels are telling us that you have to do this. You've got to emerge as a Hermetic emperor. And if you don't, terrible things will happen to you. Well, as far as Rudolph was concerned, that was just more responsibility that he didn't want. And so he promptly kicked John Dee out of Prague and had no interest in it. But Dee had also been talking to people who were later involved in this kind of Rosicrucian cultural movement. And they all had this feeling that this could happen, that there could be some kind of a revolution. And then when he was deposed, because the Vatican decided that he was not a good emperor, they wanted somebody who was obedient and would push the Catholic Church forward. So they got rid of him, and they brought in his younger brother, who was a very out of control, strict Catholic, who immediately ripped up the Edict of Religious Toleration and forbade alchemy and the practice of astrology. All of a sudden, it was all occult. Science was considered occult. The people of Prague were so unhappy with this that they threw his representatives out a window into piles of dung and trash. Wow. And declared that they were a free city. And then they went to a fellow by the name of Frederick V, who came from a very ancient family, went all the way back to Rome. And he was a very young man, and he was interested in these matters as well. And he had just married Princess Elizabeth, the daughter of the King of England, King James. And King James, his court, and especially Elizabeth, and around her wedding, there's so much occultism. There's Shakespeare's doing the Tempest, for example, for their wedding, and also doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. Robert Fludd and Michael Meyer, two people who would be taken to be Rosicrucians and were very interested in Rosicrucianism, were there for this. Bacon was making declarations about basically a universal Reformation. And then meanwhile, the library of Frederick V was one of the great collections of forbidden books. And so the feeling was among these young radicals, wow, here it is. This is the Hermetic marriage. This is, later there would be a manifesto called the Chemical Marriage. And that this is Britain and Germany getting together. And they're strong enough to oppose the Pope, strong enough to oppose the Holy Roman Empire. Well, Frederick was really not prepared for that kind of a position. And even worse, it turned out that not only were the Germans unwilling to go to war and unwilling to support him, but also the Brits wanted to support Elizabeth, but King James didn't want war. He wanted to balance Spain against against the Germans, and he basically the Catholics versus the Protestants. He wanted to, for instance, marry his son Henry into the Spanish court, while his daughter married a German who was a bit radical. And Henry was very radical and was one of these people that was experimenting with science. And he resuscitated, for instance, ancient Greek arts of creating statues that could move or that would like make sounds in the wind, and was really pushing science and also pushing war against the Vatican. But he died probably of typhus, but the rumors at the time, typhoid fever, but at the time the rumor was that he was poisoned. And it's possible that he was, because Henry in France, who was also a king that wanted to fight the Pope, and they wanted to join together to do this, he was assassinated by a monk not too long before that. And without Henry's radical influence, James really retreated into this position of neutrality. And he was very upset when Frederick accepted the invitation of the people of Prague to become king. And so this was actually the beginning of the 30 Years' War. But that's the setting in which all this occurred. You can see what a volatile time this was, with all kinds of radical ideas. And in the midst of it were these students, and they created this piece of literature, the Fama, not intending for it to become a popular book. When it did become popular, they were shocked by the reactions. So a year later, they issued another manifesto, which was called the Confesio. And the Confesio was kind of intended to be a corrective. It was trying to explain, no, you guys didn't get it. We didn't really mean what you think we meant. And so it was a little bit edgier on one level, and also in another level, it was a little bit more spiritual. So to give you an example, in the Confesio, we are told that the Pope is the Antichrist. We're told that Islam and the Roman Catholic Church are blasphemies against Jesus. The Pope is called the mouth of the viper. They're offering wealth to these potential Holy Roman emperors, saying, we've got all this gold from alchemy, and we can do something with this if you'll take up the cause. And it also has this incredible paragraph in it, which is, I think this is a spiritual teaching, a deeply mystical spiritual teaching, which is at the heart of the whole history of Western esotericism. But it was completely misinterpreted, and then especially once Madame Blavatsky got her hands on it, it like bred this entirely new, different view of the Rosicrucians. And so what they said was, wouldn't it be enough for you to be able to live without fear of hunger or poverty or disease or age? Wouldn't it be an excellent thing to live always as if you'd lived from the beginning of the world, and that you would still be living at the end of the world? And to be able to live in one place, and you could know what was happening among people on the Ganges, and you could know what was happening in Peru, and no one could keep a secret from you. Well, this is actually a description of the state of consciousness that has received many names. It's been called cosmic consciousness. It's been called the unobstructed consciousness. In China, in The Secret of the Golden Flower, it was called the Golden Flower consciousness. And it's something that we run into again and again, which is that for someone who becomes truly enlightened while in the body, or for someone who leaves the body, consciousness, which in the body is obstructed by time and space, becomes unobstructed. And so it means that our soul, our essence, is outside time. It's outside space. And when we can achieve that consciousness again, we can be anywhere, we can know anything. There are no limits to us. We, in a sense, are participating with divine consciousness or universal consciousness while preserving our individuality. But it was taken literally, once again, this problem of being too literal with things. And it was taken to mean that the Rosicrucian initiates were, these adepts who existed completely outside of time and space and who could travel to the Ganges or here. Or they could be spying on what people were saying in Peru, and that this was the power of the initiates. And that was considered demonic by people who were devout Christians. They were scared by this description. What kind of a human being has those powers? That's got to be the devil. In fact, it caused a riot in Paris because some smartass put up posters saying, "We, the Rosicrucians, are now in Paris, and we're looking for potential, new members. But don't reach out to us. We know who you are." And Paris went crazy. It was a hot summer. Everybody freaked out. They decided that it was the devil, and the authorities got involved. The newspapers blew the story up, and they found some poor guy who was like this drunken artist, and he said, "Yes, I'm a Rosicrucian." And they hauled him in, and he was a funny guy, actually. I mean, he cussed a lot and he had terrible morals. And they were like, "See, this is what a Rosicrucian is. It's the scum of the earth," right? And eventually somebody wrote an article that pointed out, "Hey, y'all, this was probably a joke," and you're all freaking out. But that shows you how far gone people were, how there was this sense of looming doom. And even the Rosicrucians, and here's the irony of it, and then I'll stop this soliloquy. Even the Rosicrucians had this. They believed in part that by bringing about this universal reformation of knowledge through science, they were bringing the apocalypse closer, because they believed that before the apocalypse happened, that there would be a return of the language of Adam. In other words, that all human beings would have Adam's knowledge, his complete knowledge of the creation, restored. So by busily working in their alchemical labs, they were trying to bring about the apocalypse, which they saw as a good thing, because it would bring down the church and it would kind of restore this higher order of divine being.
Wow. Can you explain a little bit about how Blavatsky and Theosophy sort of twisted this manifesto? Is it to do with the Great White Brotherhood, maybe?
It does, certainly. It was a way of well, let's put it this way, that Blavatsky's hidden masters, ascended masters, if you will, like Kuthumi and the rest of them, they were taken to be essentially the same thing as the Rosicrucian founders.
Right.
That this was the Western variety. Her masters were the Eastern variety. And so these were considered to be superhuman people who had, through enlightenment, or perhaps they lived enough incarnations, they had developed these divine powers. And so they could communicate at a distance, they could know what you were thinking, they were telepathic, they were invisible, they could appear at will and speak to you in your room, as she alleged happened to her. And there was a history in alchemy of this idea that if you were a really devout alchemist, that one of the great alchemical masters could simply materialize in your lab and show you what you needed in order to accomplish the great secret, or to find the philosopher's stone. And so this became adapted to the idea that the Rosicrucians were founded by these risen masters. CRC, his story is told in the Fama, and he is supposedly this monk who traveled east because he wanted to find out the secrets of the divine, and he studied with alchemists, and he did get the secrets of the divine, and he brought it back to Europe along with these amazing kind of scientific, this collection of oddities, and that it was laughed at by the brilliant minds of Europe because they didn't want to have their status threatened. And so he decided to create this small brotherhood where he would just share this information with them, and they would be invisible, and they would meet once a year, and they would go into different countries and they would take on the clothing and they would take on the mannerisms of the country that they were in. And they would do what they could to create universal reformations in these societies. And then they would come back and report to their brothers. And when they were going to die, they would find one other person to take their place. And so that story turned into this idea of these sort of superhuman masters. And Blavatsky really sold it. And there were other writers who picked up on this in a big way, like, for instance, Manly Hall, who in his early days also had this concept of Rosicrucians as being these, risen out of the limits of the physical body. So you see the same thing in the Golden Dawn, right, where you've got the founders of the society were supposedly in touch with these kinds of masters who not only gave them the right to create the society and the initial, let's call it the paperwork, but they were able to communicate with them and to further their efforts. And this was a kind of fetishization, I think, or supernaturalizing of human beings. And ironically, I think it took away agency from people, right? Like rather than feeling like we can all contribute to the universal reformation. And I actually went through this when I was a kid, when I worked for Manly Hall, and I encountered all this Rosicrucian stuff. I got to hold in my hand the original copy of the Fama, published in Germany, and it just swept me away. And I wanted to be a Rosicrucian, and I like took on all these prohibitions and tried to live up to be an initiate, and I got myself in so much trouble, like trying to help people that I shouldn't have been trying to help, and just eventually it got so bad that I was stuck in a terrible situation because of it, and I went to Manly Hall, and I'll never forget this. It was sitting in the room in his house, and there was a lightning storm going on outside that was lighting up the room. And he and his wife, Marie, were listening to me, and they were laughing their asses off, right? But in a nice way. They were affectionate, but they were just like, "Oh, kid, come, really, man, are you way off? Like you lost it." And my wife, Tamara, who wrote a book about our days with Manly Hall, and spared no detail, she called it initiate fever, right? I had a bad case of initiate fever. And I surely did. And as always happens in those situations where you try to just kind of manfully cut off the shadow and live up to the highest virtues, the shadow comes back and bites you in the ass in some major way.
Oh. Whoa. What happened? Ronnie's frozen.
Is Blavatsky. I think that she glamorized these things, and it's a great story. I mean, and in a way, your aspirations are led to wanting to contribute to humanity and to serve divine wisdom, but at the same time, you lose your humanity and you lose your agency because you're waiting around for these superior beings to recognize you and to invite you. And while you're doing that, you've given up.
The drop out on the Zoom, I think. Our internet seems okay. Stream health is excellent. I wonder if it's looking like Zoom at Ronnie's end, isn't it?
Oh, I think he's back, but we got no audio.
Or did he move then?
Yeah, I did for a moment.
Your own aid.
Yeah. Sorry, Ronnie, you just froze there for about 30 seconds.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, you're back now. It's fine. No drama. Yeah, it seems like a huge appeal to authority, this thing, isn't it? It's a great point you make about restricting our own agency as individuals because we're waiting for this sort of higher power to guide us, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And for this, our definition is just simply human beings, just simple human beings isn't good enough. Like there's another kind of human being that is so much superior to us, and so we must wait around for them. It's almost like repeating the Catholic or Calvinist hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that's the opposite of what the Rosicrucians were trying to do.
You mentioned earlier, you gave the initial CRC. Now, that would be Christian Rosenkreuz for people who are unfamiliar with the topic. And Rosicrucian, Rosicross, Rosenkreuz. Where does this symbol come from, do you think? And why did they choose the Rosy Cross? What's the implication there?
There's a lot of different theories about that, and no one's really sure. They never explained it, certainly. So some of the examples are, some people believe that it refers simply as the Rose of Sharon, right? But that doesn't seem like, there are other applications of the Rose of Sharon. Some people think that the rose represents the blood of Jesus on the cross. So the rosy cross is the bloody cross. Some people have compared it to the famous symbol in India of the jewel in the lotus, where the jewel represents the soul and the lotus represents the body. And so the rose is the soul, and the cross with its 4 points, this kind of three-dimensional form, is the body.
That's amazing. That's like the soul trapped in 3 dimensions, like this mortal coil that we're in.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
And then you've also got the possibility that it's a Sufi symbol, because there is some, since they say that CRC went and studied in the East, so he encountered Islamic mysticism, and even though Islam is denounced, in Sufism, the symbol of the rose is constantly used as a symbol of the soul. So some have opined that that's where the Rosicrucians got the idea. And then there's this newer theory that it's Ros, which is dew in Latin, and which was supposed to be an emission of the body of some type. And some people think that it was semen. Some people think that it was something more complex than that. A spiritual substance that one could, under certain practices, get out of the body, and that this was a key to the universal medicine and to the philosopher's stone. And so that when they were Rosicrucians, it was this divine substance. It was a dew, like a human dew rather than the dew of the morning. And that dew representing the potential divine power of human beings. And you see why semen came up as an idea, because it's the source of creation of more human beings, part of it. You have the idea that it's the divine power, and then it's the mundane physical existence is the cross.
My mind instantly went to dimethyltryptamine for the human dew. Unlocking our spiritual potential, possibly.
I think McKenna thought it might be related to DMT, right?
Or cerebral spinal fluid, maybe?
Exactly. That could be too.
Yeah. Who knows? You've got to sort of... You're sort of piecing this stuff together hundreds of years after the events, and then trying to interpret it. And like you just mentioned, like just the rose cross, like the foundation symbol, you just rattled off 5 or 6 different interpretations that people go with. It's like, it makes it so hard to make sense of it all, doesn't it?
It's another thing that makes it difficult with this whole movement is that it then over time in history it kept morphing. Right. So in the originating forms, in the manifestos, you have got something that's quite revolutionary and that represents the transmission of knowledge in this new way that is, it's like, orthodoxies and their hierarchical structures and the transmission of knowledge and power, something that we see a revival of right now. I don't know how many people are aware that, for instance, in America, our Secretary of War, as he likes to style himself, is a Calvinist, and he has that Calvinist belief that, we bombed a bunch of girls. Well, God willed it. That wasn't me. That's God made that happen, and he's marching toward a Calvinist world. He's going to make America Calvinist, and he's going to make the whole world Calvinist someday. I mean, it's a throwback in a way to the 1600s. And so but they have that belief that there are certain people who are predestined to be the leaders and to make the decisions, and the rest of you peons, you don't have a say in it. And women shouldn't even be allowed to vote because they're inferior beings. And that's how the mentality was during the time that the Rosicrucian manifestos developed. And the Rosicrucians were radical because they thought, for example, that women should be in the laboratories too. And there were female Rosicrucians. There was a group called the Sisters of the Rosy Cross. And they thought that information that they wanted to discover and share should be available to everybody, to indigenous people, to other races, to countries that were your enemies, that this was for all of humanity. And the people that were sharing this information, they called themselves the celestial intelligencers. And they lived in different parts of the world, and they would share their discoveries, share the progress they were making, try to inform each other so that they could together create these wonderful things. So, for example, the people working on telescopes in the court of Prague sent an early example of a telescope and the design plan to Thomas Harriot in England, who was a friend of Sir Walter Raleigh, so he could tinker with it. And he was one of the first people to map the moon. And so they saw themselves as this kind of radical new brotherhood of knowledge, although it was more than just brothers. And they actually became the source of what would become the Royal Society.
You beat me to it. Yeah. That was going to be my next question, because we're dealing with, you talking about Elizabeth I, John Dee, that era, and it made me think, 50 years forward, we've got Charles II granting his royal charter, and you have these figures like Christopher Wren and Isaac Newton following soon after. So it makes me... I was going to say, is there a connection there? Did the Rosicrucians infiltrate or morph into or incorporate the Royal Society?
Certainly there was huge influence there. It kind of happens through the circle of Sir Walter Raleigh. One of the things that happened was that those dreams for a Hermetic Europe, for let's say a Rosicrucian Europe, were dashed with the 30 Years' War. First, Frederick V was ridiculed as the Winter King because he only lasted as King of Prague for one winter. His court was riddled with Catholic spies. His army was riddled with them. And so when he began to fight the Holy Roman Empire, he suffered terrible defeats and was crushed. And Prague was reduced to tyranny. And he was a refugee for the rest of his life, with Princess Elizabeth living at the mercy of other courts of relatives who would support them. And his famous library of forbidden books was packed up and shipped away to the Vatican. And his own hereditary lands, the Palatinate, were pillaged, and everyone was raped. There was plague. It was just horrible. And then war broke out between the Protestants and the Catholics, and many of the people that were inspired by the Rosicrucians, let's use the example of Comenius, who was a great philosopher of education, some of whose ideas are still with us today. And he had the idea, for example, that education shouldn't be rote memorization, that it should be playful and experimental. He had the idea that education should be offered to everyone. He thought that women should be taught how to read and write. He thought that indigenous people should be taught to read and write. He wanted the creation of a new language so everybody could speak their own hereditary language, but we would also have a language by which we could speak to each other, and no matter where we came from. And he wanted to see the creation of what he called the College of Light, which was a sort of formalization of the celestial intelligencers, where they would all be brought together in one place, and they could work together every day, and they could just do these incredible experiments and come up with inventions and medicines and just hurry along this universal reformation. And Comenius is a very smart guy. He wanted to be a Rosicrucian. And so he was one of those people who reacted to the manifestos by trying to figure out how he could join the order. And he picked out a fellow who I think is the guy behind it, Johann Valentin André, who was a kid of about 18 or 19 when the first manifesto comes out. And there's many reasons why I think it's him. For instance, Frances Yates, the great English scholar who proposed the Rosicrucian Enlightenment, she thought it was a fellow by the name of Christoph Besselt. But we have found in more modern research that there's a copy of the manifesto, the Fama, in which Besselt wrote in a little note in it that said, "I think André wrote this." And Comenius, as he studied the situation, he decided that André was at the heart of it. So he wrote a letter to André, and he said, "I think you're deeply involved in this, and I would like to be involved. Can you help me?" And André wrote him back and famously said, "It's not really an order, it's just a group of friends, and it's a ludibrium, which is a Latin word for a hoax or a practical joke." And he said, "There really isn't anything for you to join." Comenius saw the disaster that happened and the destruction of all these Rosicrucian dreams, but he continued to go along with these ideas. And his assistant, who had been deeply involved in Rosicrucian ideas, wound up working with Sir Walter Raleigh. And so when Raleigh began to colonize America, there was this guy and others. This guy was his treasurer in the project. And then there were a couple other people that were involved in this first group that came together to plan it that had Rosicrucian experience. And part of their idea was, since we can't liberate Europe from the Pope, what if we take this new continent and we bring these ideas there, and maybe that place can become a place where the Rosicrucian dream can flourish again. And so when they came to America to establish the first colony, they brought with them Thomas Hariot. And in fact, it wasn't too long ago that we found the ruin of his alchemical lab on a beach in Virginia, like the broken alembics and stuff. So he was practicing science here. Make no mistake, I mean, they were here to rape the country, Hariot famously wrote this list of things that you could make money off of in America, and it had this refrain. Anytime it was a living being or most plants, he would say, "We took it and we ate it." And that was kind of the theme of what they were trying to do. They were all trying to get rich. But at the same time, they had this idealistic sense that there could be a resurrection of Rudolph's freedom of religion here. And so as these Rosicrucians were involved in the beginning of the colonies, and then we see the beginnings of what's going to become the Royal Society with people like Ashmole and others who were also deeply influenced by the Rosicrucians. There's no question that the Royal Society was inspired by Rosicrucian ideas and was somewhat organized by people who had experience trying to implement Rosicrucian ideas in the world. And one of the interesting things about this is right now nationalists are busily trying to convince everybody that we have this strictly, the Pilgrims were Christian, Puritans. And there's a story that Hegseth, for instance, likes to tell about George Washington, which is that when he was at Valley Forge, he got on his knees and he prayed to God, and which is false. It was a fake story that was made up by a fiction writer along with the cherry tree story. And they're trying to recast the founding fathers as these devout Christians just like us, Calvinists. But in fact, they were deists, and they didn't trust the Christians. They didn't approve of Calvinism. They thought it was ignorant. And then we really see this propaganda at work. The new research shows us what the Pilgrims were like and what was really going on. So the governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony of Boston, who coined the famous phrase that American blowhards love to quote about a shining city on a hill, and was supposed to be the most Puritan of the Puritans as governor. His son, John Winthrop the Younger, is to me a study of what a Rosicrucian perhaps really is. And so while his dad was setting up this new colony project, this kid was studying alchemy in London, and he was doing alchemical experiments with his cousin, who was a female surgeon, one of the first, and he found the Fama. And by then, just a generation after its release, the Rosicrucian had become a character in English comedy. And usually it was an old man, you know, the kind of person who'd be like reading an old book and he'd walk into a hole. It was some clueless guy who just had his head up in the clouds, didn't know what was going on, and he was a constant in the theater of that time. But for John the Younger, he read the manifestos and he was really inspired. So he went looking for Rosicrucians in Europe, and he wanted to go all the way to Turkey. He wanted to follow Father CRC's footsteps and try to find some of these masters. He did find alchemical wisdom and philosophical wisdom, but he says that he never found a Rosicrucian. He was always disappointed by who these alleged Rosicrucians were, and he and his friends thought, nah, they don't know anything, that this isn't a Rosicrucian. So when his father summoned him to come to the New World, he shows up and he's got this huge barrel, maybe several barrels, and they're marked with John Dee's famous occult symbol, the Monas Hieroglyphica. And first of all, that right there, that's like, you know, a kid coming back to his dad's house with pentagrams all over his luggage, and his dad is a Baptist minister. You know, I mean, it's and in those barrels was a good amount of John Dee's alchemical equipment and of John Dee's library and manuscripts. So here's the great occult wizard of Queen Elizabeth's era, and now here's this kid. He's still a young man, bringing over all this stuff, this occult paraphernalia, to his father's house, right? The governor of this supposedly Christian colony. And he sets up the alchemical lab in his father's house with his father's blessings. He's doing astrological calculations there, and everybody's fine with it. There are moments when some of the more strict Puritans start to ask questions, and so he gets a lower profile. Eventually, things get too heated, and he goes off, and he's one of the founders of Connecticut Territory. And he had made the decision that if he couldn't find a Rosicrucian, he would simply live by their laws, by their ideals. And that's what he did. So, for example, he really furthered science. He made discoveries in medicine. He made discoveries in the processing of iron ore, for example, in desalination and all kinds of necessary technical aspects of this new world. And he was famous for making gold. There was a place in Connecticut that was called the Governor's Ring. It was a hill, and he was said to go up there with his assistant whenever he needed money, and he'd come back down with these gold rings of the purest gold anybody had ever seen. And he became the doctor for most of Connecticut Territory. And his healing inventions were actually very effective. And he put together a small army of nurses and midwives. He taught them to diagnose by symptom, and then he did color-coded packets of these medications. So if they're coughing and they can't sleep and they have a fever, give them the red packet. If they have this, give them the green packet. And this was decades worth of medicine that he was practicing, and he was so good that people who had the money and had the virility to travel from Europe to America to be doctored by him would do so.
Wow.
He also, the Rosicrucians were supposed to protect the innocent. Well, he protected the innocent in a couple of ways. One, when the witch trials began, they did spread into Connecticut Territory, and there were efforts to murder women in particular who were accused of being witches. And he and his friends fought for them. And they, for instance, came up with this wonderful interpretation where the law said there have to be 2 witnesses for somebody to be condemned. And they came up with this fine interpretation that said that's 2 witnesses at the same time, not just 2 people who are separate and saw things on separate occasions. We need to see 2 people at the same time to prove that somebody is devilish. And then they would point out, for example, well, if you saw a black dog that was a specter walking around with this woman, how do you know that that was her black magic? How do you know that it wasn't the devil, that the devil did that to try to cause her trouble? And then they also said, and you say that she predicts things by using astrology. Well, so does your, the governor of the territory here, John Winthrop, who's your doctor. And so do farmers when they read the moon, and when they know that when this star rises, it means that this season is about to happen. Those are not devilish prognostications. That's just reading the knowledge, the wisdom that God has put into nature. And he got these women exonerated and then had them escorted out of Connecticut to safety. He also protected the Pequot tribe, who had been decimated by diseases brought over by the Europeans, and they were enslaved by the Mohegans. And he saw what was happening, and so he brought them into his city, New London, and he let them set up their village right next to it so they could live under his protection. And the Mohegans came and they attacked them, and at the moment, the United Colonies supported the Mohegans and said, no, that they have a right to enslave these people. These people have no status. And they officially removed their names and their status and their lands. And he continued to fight for them for years and to protect them at great danger to himself. And eventually he prevailed when the Mohegans were so cruel that the tide turned and the United Colonies decided, well, we can't really let the Mohegans do this, so we're going to restore the rights and the name of the Pequot tribe and their lands. So he actually achieved that. And he used to keep his men out of trouble, talking about protecting the innocent, because the king in England would contact him and say, hey, we're fighting a war, we need men, so send over some men. And he would say, well, first of all, he wouldn't say anything. He'd ignore the orders as long as he could. And then when finally he couldn't ignore the orders anymore because the king was getting pissed about it, he would say, look, I need these guys. Like, you want me to do this iron ore, right? Well, I need every one of my men working in my factory to get this process of iron ore completed. And so the king would relent and say, all right, well, then you can keep them. So he lived his whole life this way, and really is like a Rosicrucian. If he was initiated, does that make a difference? Like, you know what I mean? Like he is a Rosicrucian, and he had a huge influence on early America. And when he died, he was eulogized by Cotton Mather. Some people say Mather, who was the pilgrim expert on all occult matters, and was famous for writing against the witches and such. And he was referred to in the eulogy as Hermes Christianus, the Christian Hermes. Wow. What? A pilgrim is saying that this guy is great and he's the Christian Hermes? Whichever Hermes it is, the Greek god or thrice great Hermes, that's problematic for the idea that these were heavily anti-occult people. And in fact, Cotton Mather wrote in another book that this occult stuff is pretty good. It's good for scholars like me to study, but it's not for farmers. You guys should just read the Bible.
Yeah, they're not sophisticated enough to understand.
Exactly.
It. Yeah.
So here you see that the pilgrims that we're being sold this bunch of bullshit about, that they were these strict Christians, and they would never do anything like alchemy or astrology or practice Rosicrucianism. That's occultism. No, they were steeped in it. They brought it with them to America.
I'll just shout out to the chat. We're going to field some questions soon to Ronnie. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. I just wanted to lend some more weight to that connection between the Rosicrucians and the Royal Society. I saw a letter once between two of the founding members. I don't know if it was Robert Hooke, maybe, and someone else. You mentioned in one of the manifestos they described themselves as an invisible society. And in that letter, they described the Royal Society as the Invisible College, which is an interesting turn of phrase. And going back to that description of, what was it, Universal Reformation. So when the society's founded, it's just after the restoration of the monarchy, which is just after Cromwell's Civil War. And of the 11 or 12 founding members, they're pretty much split down the middle between royalists and republicans. So people who a few years later were on opposite sides of a civil war are suddenly working hand in glove to set up this invisible college, Royal Society. So it kind of really ties in with that sort of overarching
and you can
ideology.
And you can see the influence in both sides. So, for example, Cromwell was influenced by Rosicrucianism, as was John Milton, his favorite poet. Cromwell had this rather strange belief that in order to achieve the Rosicrucian utopia, you would have to kill a whole bunch of Catholics. And but he wanted the Rosicrucian utopia. He wanted science. He wanted this kind of modernized, as he saw it, Reformation. And then you also had on the other side, for the royalists, you had somebody like Rupert, Prince Rupert of the Rhine, who was a famous soldier and leader for the royalists, and who was the son of Princess Elizabeth and the grandson of King James, and who was somebody who's grew up kind of steeped in the aftermath of these Rosicrucian ideas, and hanging out with people who were influenced by the Rosicrucians, and who also in certain ways showed that in what he did, because for example, he was a great inventor. He was in the alchemical lab working on medicines and trying to forward science. And so for example, Rupert, I mean, who's most famous as a pirate, like an alchemist pirate. But he had the invention of the mezzotint technique in the arts. He created something called the Prince's Metal, which was a brass alloy of copper and zinc. It was originally used to improve naval artillery, but it was also something that became popular for cheap jewelry and buttons and things. He was the one who figured out how to put permanent stain into marble. He invented a lighter, more maneuverable naval gun. And then he invented a diving engine, like the beginning of the submarine, so that you could get down into the water to retrieve things, and navigational instruments that helped you to calculate altitude while you were at sea. And then he also invented a surgical instrument for when you had to do brain surgery, for going through the skull. And so he's inventing all these things. So he's an artist, he's a scientist, he's a warrior. This is kind of a Rosicrucian idea. And unfortunately, he was also the moving force behind the establishment of the slave trade. And certainly that was the very opposite of what the early Rosicrucians were about. But there's no question that he was influenced by Rosicrucian ideas. And so you have both in Cromwell's influence by Rosicrucians, and then you have, on the other side, Rupert's influence by Rosicrucians. So it wouldn't be unnatural that those two sides could find common purpose in the Royal Society, which kind of enshrined some of the best aspects of Rosicrucianism.
Probably the most famous president of the Royal Society would be Isaac Newton. Would he be a secret Rosicrucian?
I don't know if you could call him that, but we do know that he had Rosicrucian books and that he wrote extensive notes in them. And so I think he too was influenced by this idea that science was the way forward for Reformation. And one of the things about the early Rosicrucians was that they thought, and maybe this is applicable for our time, they did not think that the Universal Reformation was something that could come from, like, divine fiat, and it's the stars say it's going to happen now, here we go. They thought that it was something that each person had to achieve on their own in order to create this wider Reformation. So we work on our own reformations, and then we impact our families and our communities, and then that Reformation can thereby spread to other places. And their idea was very much individual as opposed to these big movements. And then eventually it turns into Cromwell's idea of no, we need armies that are going to impose this utopia. It's almost like a Stalinist kind of an idea. And then you also have other extremes, like there was a time when, for example, in the order called the Golden and Rosy Cross, there were these two fellows that were high up in the order who became the power behind a king in Europe. And they were almost as bad as the Catholics. They were censoring, they were controlling things. They I think, may have become part of the reason why today people think of the Rosicrucians as Illuminati who secretly control the evil that's going on in the world on behalf of the rich elite. That couldn't be further from what the original Rosicrucians were about. And yet, somehow, their ideas gave birth to this elitist, control freak version of Rosicrucianism.
That might tie into one of the questions from the chat, actually. That top one there. This is from Helen, I think, is it? Does Ronnie think the theory that the Rosicrucians had anything to do with the Georgia Guidestones holds any weight?
That is such a complicated subject. It's interesting because it's, you want to say yes in the sense that the whole thing, that the symbology that has multiple ways of interpreting it, the secrecy, the way it appears out of nowhere, that all seems inspired in a sense by Rosicrucian events and Rosicrucian ideas. But is it somehow tied to efforts by Rosicrucians to create it? It's really impossible to say. It seems unlikely because the Rosicrucians, in my opinion, were never that organized. I don't think there was, for instance, a secret brotherhood that existed throughout history. We don't really have any evidence of it, at least, and of course we wouldn't. That's one of the things about Rosicrucianism. If you say to somebody, I've had people say to me, my initials, my first name and my middle name happen to be RC, and I've had people say, "Oh, well, then are you a Rosicrucian?" And I say no, and they go, "Well, of course, a Rosicrucian would say no, wouldn't they? There's no winning, right? It's so." Yeah, I can't really answer that question. It's a good question, though.
But are you a Rosicrucian, Ronnie?
No.
Okay, let's take another one. Where's this from? This is from Sublimated Node. I'm interested to know if Ronnie is aware of any known connectivity between the Rosicrucians and the Micmac of the East Coast. Micmac. Is that a
Another very interesting question. It's so hard to tell. Because
what's the Micmac? I don't know that term.
Well, there's this area of when people were coming from Europe to America, some of the colonies, these little colonies, were interacting with local tribes like the Micmac. Right. And that's the Micmac they're referring to, and so they were really informing each other's belief systems and searching for, like, for instance, a good example would be this wonderful guy, the pagan pilgrim, who was trying to compete with the more traditional pilgrims and got into a lot of trouble for it. And he wanted to know everything about the beliefs of the local tribes, their dreams, their religious practices, how they treated their elders, how they raised their children. Whereas, for example, the pilgrims didn't want to know any of that. They thought that the tribes were just satanic and ignorant and they had to be converted. And so that kind of melting pot, as it's been called in such a cliche kind of way, was real, though, in many ways. There's a famous story, for example, of very early explorers of America who find an indigenous tribe, and they're trying to communicate with them, and then the tribe starts talking to them in English. And they're like, what? Like, how? Well, because there have been fur trappers who'd been coming by there for generations and sometimes intermarried with the tribes. And so some of the tribes people had learned how to speak English. And so there were always these little surprises like that. And there were amongst some of the early colonists people who felt that there were in the beliefs of the indigenous people things that really correlated well with, some people thought, with the Bible, for example, but also with Rosicrucian ideas. And so the question is, how did that happen? Like, it could be that there was a trapper running around America who had Rosicrucian ideas and who sat down and talked to the tribal shamans and chiefs and compared notes about their spirituality and the divine, and that some of this made it into the belief system. It's also possible that this was simply kind of projecting your own ideas into somebody else's beliefs because you see some sort of recognition and similarities. And then, of course, the other thing is that, for instance, like that quote that I was referring to earlier, where they talk about, being able to hear people in Peru and such, that all of us are talking about the same reality. Like, when you go into the depths of a human being and into what our source is and what the consciousness and experiences associated with that source are, that you have the same experience. And so it may be different words that describe it, but for somebody with an open mind and a sensitive intellect, you can see, oh, you're talking about the same thing that I'm talking about. And then there was certainly influence coming from the tribes into these early colonists. And, we know that the Iroquois, for example, were part of where the ideas about democracy developed from. And in some way, the Iroquois democracy was superior. It included women, for example. And so that is a melting pot question, and it's kind of vague, and I can't give you a definitive answer, unfortunately. But there's certainly something going on there.
Ronnie, I'm conscious we've blown over an hour already. Have we time for another couple of questions? Or
of course, yeah.
Okay, this one will only you can answer this one in like 10 seconds probably. Is there a connection between the Rosicrucians and early Freemasonry?
That's very interesting. Of course, it used to be believed that, yes, there were definitely. In fact, some people thought the Rosicrucians invented Freemasonry. I would suggest that that's not the case for one simple reason, that Freemasonry is a return to hierarchy, right? Much like the Catholic Church, you've got a leader and you've got steps, and you only get the knowledge when you achieve the step. That's not early Rosicrucianism. However, Rosicrucian ideas are all through Freemasonry. They're trying to make Rosicrucianism work, if you will. And so you even have Rosicrucian degrees, for instance, in the Scottish Rite. You've got the Rosicrucian degree. Yeah. And so that is an influence. That's the question, between direct influence and inspiration. And I think Rosicrucianism has been such a huge inspiration in Western history in so many ways. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there was direct connection.
No, and it's hard to know which order came first, or even if they came up at the same time. They could have come up at the same time, this sort of 15th, 16th century, that sort of era.
Absolutely. It's an impulse that was going on in European civilization at that time that could be expressed in different ways. Yeah. And so in the early Rosicrucian manifestos, it's a little chaotic. It's revolutionary. And less so in Freemasonry, although Freemasonry also revolutionary, but both of them begin as invisible societies. And both of them begin with this idea of universal reformation. and how to achieve it. And both of them are supporting science and civilizing activities and protecting the weak and protecting community. And both of them suffer that kind of morphing over time, where they evolve into things that are sometimes the opposite of what the original intent was.
I think you could make an argument with Freemasonry. They use the analogy of the unfinished ashlar, which is chiseled to, and it's kind of a euphemism for personal development. Mm-hmm. So again, similar to the Rosicrucians, not relying on some divine power or God's will, but a personal development aspect, which you could see maybe there's a continuity there between the two.
Yes, and a direct relationship, and not having to have a priest say you're okay or you're forgiven. To have a direct relationship with the divine through developing your own soul.
Yeah. Should we take another one? This is from just coming from Ronin in the chat. Do you think that the magical orders of Europe knew about America before Columbus's journey?
That's another good question. There are indications of that possibility going all the way back to the Vikings. And we do have traders who are coming out here, fishermen, fur traders, and are interacting with the tribes. So it would stand to reason that people who had connection with those kind of people knew that there was this vast land mass that was uninhabited by white people, that was existing out there. And so there are those that even think that there's a plan. I mean, I think this is a glamorized version of it, but for instance, Manly Hall in his early days used to believe that the idea for America went all the way back to ancient Egypt somehow, and that there was this idea of creating this place where there could be freedom of religion, and there would be sort of a country that itself represented universal reformation. And that's certainly the mythology of America. I mean, the reality of the American Empire is a dire, horrendous thing that has nothing to do with that myth that it tells itself. And yet that was enshrined in the idea of America. And so some people have tried to say that that America was Atlantis in a sense, right?
Yeah. The new
I
Atlantis.
feel like I should mention too, since you all mentioned in the promo for this the psychedelic aspect of it, I just want to spend a moment on the fact that Terence McKenna was really deeply into this stuff.
Really? Wow.
And he was reading Frances Yates, and she romanticized it a lot, and she got a lot of it wrong. Unfortunately, we can see from modern interpretations of it, but nevertheless, she inspired him greatly. And in 1992, he was involved in a video series that was called Prognosis. And he dressed up as John Dee and went walking around in Prague. And this was during an international transpersonal conference. He must have been tripping balls, I'm guessing. But he was talking about this, and John Dee was here, and this happened, and then he was very excited by this idea of these people who had this vision. And I believe that the advice that he gave to us about using this new technology that was intended to control us and to watch us and to instead to create art and other ways of using it to transform the world into something beautiful instead of something horrible, came from his interest in these Rosicrucian ideas. And we also see Rosicrucianism inspiring literature. So perhaps the most famous story by Borges is really about the Rosicrucians, about finding this one volume of an encyclopedia about a world that never existed, and people become so obsessed with it they recreate the entire set of the encyclopedia, and then eventually that encyclopedia changes the whole world to resemble this world that never existed. That's a meditation on the Rosicrucian ideas, and he even mentions Andre in it. Pessoa, the great writer, he was somebody who was deeply interested in the Rosicrucians and was inspired by them. And then Guy Debord of the Situationist International he was inspired by that story about Paris going into a panic because of those posters. And so that's part of the inspiration behind the Situationist International doing their famous graffiti that caused such a ruckus during the student riots in the early 60s, where things were put on the walls like, one of my favorites was, everywhere students are offered love or refrigerators, and everywhere they choose refrigerators. And so he was somebody who also was looking at this manifesto chaos that erupted, and this radical idea of how knowledge should be treated, and of direct experience as opposed to symbolized experience. So he called this the spectacle in his famous book, The Society of the Spectacle, which was kind of a interpretation of Marxism. But inside that, there's this Rosicrucian component of the idea that look at how, if you're a Catholic, for example, or you're a Calvinist for that matter, and so how is your life? It's a spectacle. It's a symbol. Like, you don't have a direct experience of your own soul. You don't have a direct experience of divine revelation. You are told by the priest what to do. You come every Sunday and you sing the hymn that's assigned for that Sunday, and you see if it's a Catholic church, you see the depictions of the saints, and if it's a Calvinist church, you don't. But you don't have this adventure of life where you're trying to find God, who in a sense is playing hide and seek with you in nature, and is going to reward you if you earn knowledge. And this was something that Du Bois is talking about when he's talking about how in our society, everything is retreated away into the spectacle. And so we have symbols of things, but we don't have the actual experience. And in America, you've got Ralph Waldo Emerson, who in his essay Nature famously said, much more eloquently than I will, that why should we have to be beholden to the revelations of people who came before us and have to just kind of slavishly be obedient to their divine revelations? Why can't we have a divine revelation of our own right now?
Yeah. Wow. What a question, yeah, to ponder. I'll just say, we'll make this the last question. This is from Fiona, I think. Going back to Terence McKenna. Mm-hmm. Terence McKenna also hints at the moon being a soul catcher. What are Ronnie's thoughts on that?
Well, it's certainly not a Rosicrucian idea, but it's not. But it's not an uncommon idea in history, and it goes back to this idea that we live in what's called the sublunar world. And I personally think that this goes back to Macrobius and some Roman authors who had this idea, based on Platonism more or less, that when we incarnate, so we start out and we're free souls, and we have this unobstructed cosmic consciousness. And as we come down into incarnation, each planetary sphere that we pass gives us something. Yeah. Now that something is a gift for being able to operate in the physical world, but it's also a limitation, an obscuration of our true nature, the limiting of us into just this one format of how we can be and what we can perceive. And the further down we get, the smaller we get, and the denser and the more opaque. And then finally, when we reach that level of the moon, is when the body is created. So on the sublunar level, we are embodied creatures. And literally, our souls are captured at this point, right? Aristotle had this saying that the angst of the soul in body is like the Etruscan pirate torture of being tied face to face with a corpse. So you have this infinite being, yeah. So you have graphic, isn't it? So you have this infinite being that's used to freedom and timelessness, and suddenly it's literally trapped in the body, as the Orphics used to say, who were a big influence on Plato. Soma sema, the body a tomb.
Yeah.
So they felt that we were the dead. The dead aren't dead. The dead are more alive than we are. We're entombed in our bodies. And so the moon indeed captures our souls and puts them into a body that then we have to drag this thing through the gravity of the material world and try to bring as much of our consciousness back as we can. And even in American spiritualism and British spiritualism, for example, there's this idea of how we come down, like we incarnate to do specific things. We not just to learn, but to accomplish certain missions. Everybody does. But we get down here in the body and most of us forget. Like we never actually do what we came here to do. We just wander off in our bodies, distracted by all these things going on around us and limited by that. And so we're captured by the moon. And then you have the term lunacy, right? It is lunacy. It's we forget ourselves. We forget why we're here. We forget what we are, and we throw our lives away into activities that perhaps are even the opposite of what we intended to accomplish.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
You agree, chaps?
Definitely.
Yes.
This has been wonderful, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie, the breadth of knowledge there on this topic is
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, it's blown away. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I had fun with you guys.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and all your links are in the show notes for people who want to follow up and pick up the book or follow on YouTube and all the other social media stuff. But
Oh, thank you.
it's been fantastic, and I really hope you'll come again in the future. You know, in 6 months,
Please.
12 months, and
Yeah.
have you got another book that you're working on at the minute?
I actually have another book that is that was just released that I co-wrote with my late wife. It's called The Unobstructed Universe, and it's about that consciousness and about this couple in America in the 1930s and 1940s who wrote bestsellers, amazing stuff. It's mediumship, but it's not your normal like Atlantis, past lives, health reading stuff. It's about the meaning of life, how we incarnate, what it's like on the other side, all those kind of things. And so yeah, I'd be happy to send you guys a PDF if you like.
Oh, that'd be great.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, this has been fantastic. Thanks again for your time, Ronnie. We really
you're
appreciate it. And for those of you watching live, we're going to keep this stream running, and us three are going to have a quick break for 10 minutes, and then we'll have a chit chat.
We will do.
That's thanks again, Ronnie. It's been an absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening.
See you soon, folks. Bye.
It cleaned
hot.
itself up. Yeah, so.
Covered in piss.
And we're back.
Oh, Ronnie, Ronin Wings, not Ronnie. That's Ronnie. We just spoke to Ronnie. Ronin Wings 999. I love this studio. First time in.
Oh,
I know.
welcome.
We should have a studio tour video. Like the people can't even see Han Solo and Carbonite.
Yeah.
Or you can actually see a bit of him just over your left shoulder.
His crotch,
So
mainly.
you can see his crotch. Yeah, we're not back yet because I haven't got the sound clip ready.
Oh, we're not back.
I'm so out of sorts with since the Roadcaster 2 died. You know,
I mean,
we'll just have to get comfy in a minute. Comfy and
what is that?
Oh, the stain. Is it?
Sputum. It's liquid.
It's probably rum from last week.
Or vanilla essence. Smell it, Ben.
I don't want to touch it, and I don't want to get my face that close.
Yeah, I know. If you breathe, you'll probably just be blasted with cigarette ash. Unfortunately.
You could probably shake that out and roll a whole new pack of cigarettes.
Shake the Roadcaster out.
Yep.
It's kind of like, it's almost a modern Pompeii, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Maybe in 1,000 years or 2,000 years, they might find this roadcaster and think, oh my God, look at what happened to this. There was some kind of volcanic dust.
And
Covered
some
everything.
Sputum.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll never understand it.
No.
The dwarf, the cripple, and the
We're
pancreatic.
getting there now, so if you wanted to restart the stream,
By saying, and we're back.
the dwarf, the cripple, and the
Pancreatic islets of Langerhans.
so that was our chat with Ronnie Pontiac. How great was Ronnie?
Fantastic.
How deep was his knowledge?
It was deep. It
How
was so deep.
varied?
Mariana Trench-like.
How wide?
Pretty
Pretty wide.
wide.
I said to these two guys before we started, like, I'd listened to Ronnie on a couple of our mates' podcasts, and any aspect of the occult world you can ask Ronnie about, and he can just go off on it. You know, he's got such a wide breadth and depth of knowledge. It's fantastic to have him on.
I was
Treat.
Yeah.
sort of hoping I'd get a chance to ask him about his musical past and the projects around that. So, but you know, that's also an extremely interesting backstory.
I wanted to ask him about his work with Manly P. Hall because, like, as a sort of a poor nerd of the occult that I am,
Nerd.
he's one of those guys where if you read any book, like post 1960s about the occult world, they're referencing Manly P. Hall because he's a legend. You know, he's on that scale of like the Blavatskys and the Jean-Michels and all these people who've written about the occult world. So, and he's got first-hand knowledge working with him and stuff. But yeah, it's fantastic. A real treat.
Hopefully, we'll see. Oh my God, we'll see him again soon.
Is that the old acid reflux?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Have a Rennie.
God,
Or a
I think
Ronnie.
you don't work on me anymore, Ronnie.
I said a Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie.
Yeah. Have a Ronnie. Sort yourself out.
Sorted out. No, I'm good. It's all good. So yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and it'd be great if he can come back again and talk about some other stuff because he's, as all our guests are, fantastic.
Well, that book he's written with his late wife sounds very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so he's going to send that through, isn't he? So I'll have to print it out.
He's very active, you know. He has is it Substack and Medium?
Yes,
Or he's writing all the time and posting stuff. So it's good to have these guys. A lot of us. I remember seeing a reading list. I remember when I got into Randall Carlson years ago. You know, when he appeared on Grimerica and then Joe Rogan, and you start listening to Randall Carlson, and he's into this sacred geometry and pyramidology and music of the spheres and Neoplatonism and whatnot. And I remember finding a reading list on his website, and that was one of the catalysts that sent me on my
That's
journey.
The Library of Alexandria.
Well, the thing was, right, one of the books this is going back a decade, but one of the books he used to reference the most was Hertha von Deschend and Santiala. What's the name of the book?
I could not help you with that.
Pyramids for Dummies.
See Spot Run.
Hamlet's Mill.
Hamlet's Mill. Oh, yeah, of course. The
So-
Hero's Journey.
Right, that's the one he talks about the most. I'm going to pick that one up. And it's probably the least accessible book on the entire reading list.
Nice.
But it still got me. It still got me, you know, bit me. I still got bitten by the bug. And so you start working through that reading list. And then you look at the footnotes and you see who's being referenced. Oh, Manly P. Hall. Right. Never heard of him. I'll get a few. What's this? The Secret Teachings of All Ages. All right. Well, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So I'll read that, and it's like, fuck me, man. Then you hear about Blavatsky, and then you hear about, what's the, Schwaller de Lubitsch, and his work on the Temple at Luxor, the Temple of Man, and all this, and you just get fascinated by all this weird shit that's going on that people are trying to figure out and piece together.
Well, knowledge and understanding is a chain reaction, isn't it? So you've just bounced off one reading list to expand. How many other reading lists are there? How many areas of of the topic haven't you even began to look into yet? It's so vast.
I think what grabs you is that there's this air of mystery around it all. Manly Hall, the secret teachings of all ages. So it's the occultists say, they talk about the profane world.
Yeah.
Which is the world of us watching football and social media, and we're basically automatons. We're just robots, just moving from one dopamine hit to another. We're not even, as the Bene Gesserit would call them, animals.
Oh,
you're not a human. You're not in charge of your own consciousness. That's the whole point of the Gom Jabbar.
Is that Star Trek?
So in the first Dune book, Paul Muad'Dib, the Kwisatz Haderach, is the first male, I think, to be trained as a Bene Gesserit. And I always, as soon as I say Jesuit, I say Jesuit. This whatever his name was, not L. Ron Hubbard, who wrote it. Bob. The Dune books.
it was there.
I've got them all.
Frank
Herbert.
Yeah.
There's so much theology. There's a lot of Islamic sort of not stolen but tinkered words throughout the text. He's heavy into theology, and you have this Bene Gesserit, which is this sort of order of a religious female order.
Have secret powers.
They have the voice. They can control you with the voice. That's one of the powers. But there's a famous part in the first book, and it's in the Dune film, where Paul, the main character's mum, is a Bene Gesserit, and they have this sort of initiation called the Gom Jabbar, and Paul he puts his hand in this box, and he says to the they call him a Reverend Mother.
The Queen.
It's not a Queen Mother, it's a Reverend Mother. And he says, "What's in the box?" And he says, "Only pain," something like that. And it's like I can't remember how they describe it in the book, but in the film it's like a burning sensation. And the Reverend Mother has a needle to his neck. She whips it out, puts a needle to his neck, and it's basically a kill dart.
Yes,
you're dead basically, and it's a test of your will and your psychology. Can you control yourself? Are you a human? And she makes a comment once he passes the test. She calls him a human because the Bene Gesserit regard everyone else basically as animals.
Right.
They're not in control of themselves. And you can relate to that. We all have these urges. We can all relate to being in our youth, or maybe not in our youth, where our urges have overtaken our better natures, or how we would like to perceive we live our lives. Everyone likes to think that they're a good person, they do the right thing, but sometimes animal urges or instinct or 7 deadly sins, lust, gluttony, envy, pride. These are the animalistic natures that can take over your psyche and render you an animal rather than a conscious human being who is trying to ascend beyond the mortal shell to the spirit realm.
When I
Beyond
nailed
space and time.
a whole packet of Jaffa cakes, I didn't really think of it like that.
You didn't get too deep with it, did you?
I do it. It's like I can eat 4 in one go. I can put 4 chocolate digestives back to back, dunk them, and fit them all in my mouth.
Wow.
Because gluttony, but it is.
You don't even taste them, do you?
You do. You taste it 4 times, man. It's like 4x.
I think if you do 2 chocolate to chocolate, there's something special about that. I'd say.
All right. Well, I see.
Chocolate digest. 2
That
chocolate
sounds very
digestives
niche to me.
dipped.
Chocolate to chocolate.
Chocolate to chocolate.
I'm such a taste bitch that I go chocolate on the outside because I want the chocolate on my
would you?
tongue.
Oh,
Yeah, I want the full hit of the dark chocolate.
dark.
Yeah, I get
further.
dark chocolate.
Chostas.
I get dark chocolate digestives. Yeah.
Right.
God. You probably eat bounties as well, right?
He's the one.
I'm not a fucking degenerate. Yeah, the Quizartanic.
Eating the plainest of the chocolate bars.
Tell you what was amazing about Ronnie when he's talking and he's moving across different areas. Like he'll spend a few minutes talking about something, and he's moving, and he'll be talking about something, and a question will pop into my head, and I'm like, and I'm waiting for him to stop, so because I've got a question to ask about what he's talking about, and he will answer it before, and he's just moving on. It's like fantastic, man. Such a good orator.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's in the chat? Is anyone still watching? Because we're doing this new thing where we just keep the stream running.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, instead of having 2 separate streams,
That makes sense.
I just leave it running. I can't find. There it is. Oh yeah, so just 20 odd people, 22 people there. Thanks for joining us.
That makes a lot of sense.
Look, Oracle is asking about your tarot reading.
Yeah.
Do you remember the cards?
So this is in reference to last week.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it?
Do you remember the cards? I guess that's posed to you, Phil.
I had to take time out to have Easter dinner with my family. I was surprised they kept going so long. Well, me and Ryan are knowing for being long men. Do you remember the cards? Death? Yeah, I remember that card because it's I think it was the first one I drew.
Nice. Death the Hangman.
Yeah. 3 of Cups. Was it also 7 of Cups and 7 of Wands? Yeah, I think so. And I think I got some more wands after.
Paul Daniels.
How many wands are there?
10, is there?
And was it your pack or was it the one that
I pulled
Ryan
my cards from the thingy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we had a bit of a disaster last week. Oh, Sublimated Node, I enjoyed the stream last week. The interview today was excellent as well. So, shall I give you a rundown of what happened last week?
Yes, please.
We started the stream as normal.
Then it all went sideways.
And then you had nearly a full bottle of rum, and then that was it.
That's the cliff notes. About 10, 15 minutes into the stream, the internet dropped out.
Your internet?
My internet, which has not happened for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So, it dropped out. I got a flag up from OBS or Restream saying internet dead, stream disabled or whatever.
Right.
And so we said, in fact, the audio listeners, the podcast, I didn't even realize this because I was hungover the next day. But I managed to capture the audio somewhere for that missing few minutes while the internet went down. So you can hear me and Ryan talking about, what's going on? So anyway, a few minutes pass. The internet comes back up and Restream automatically restarts the stream.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I think if you have like a 30-second dropout, it'll restart it in that sense perfectly. It restarted the stream with a different event on YouTube with the thumbnail with the Restream logo on it. Right. I didn't realize this was happening at the time. I just thought, oh, it's redone. So, right, we're good to go. Unfortunately, the other streaming service we use, Aircast, because I'm cheap, I piggyback 3 restreaming services off each other for £6 a month.
This is the way.
Aircast doesn't reset itself, so Facebook, Rumble, that all went in the bin. So that was lost to the ether. Instagram, I presume, was lost to the ether. So stream kept going. I forgot to press record on the Rodecaster.
Oh no.
So when I came to upload the audio the next morning, nothing recorded on the Rodecaster. I had to pull the 3 hours or whatever I could find. Oh, right. Oh, 3 hours, right. So the stream was over 6 hours. Unfortunately, the computer's hard drive was filled.
After 5 minutes.
After about 3.5 hours.
Right, okay.
So the next morning when I came to do the audio, I realised that the fucking roadcaster wasn't recording. Right, so okay. The computer, when we stream, it automatically records.
Yeah.
See there, it says stop streaming, stop recording.
Yeah.
So the computer has everything. So it just means I'll have to get the MP4, the video file, shove it into DaVinci Resolve and just render it as an audio file.
Yeah.
And so I do that, pull it in, 3 hours, 30 minutes. All right. Because the computer's hard drive was full, it stopped recording after 3 hours and 30 minutes. And I went to it and it was like, well, I can't. It was like halfway through a fucking sentence or something. So I went back 10 minutes, whatever. I thought I'll find a nice place to just end it and just have to live with it. And it was just when I spilt rum all over the keyboard. And Ryan's going, whoa, you spilt rum on the keyboard. I was like, I've got fucking keyboards for days. There's one over there, there's one down there. It's fine, don't worry about it. So I ended it there.
Okay.
What else went wrong? I felt like there was something else that went. Oh, we got a copyright strike as well.
What for?
So
It's been a while.
because towards the end, maybe end of hour 5, I was pissed up and I played. Ryan must have brought up the Transformers,
Oh.
and I played the Transformers soundtrack. And being a double retard, I played the actual video as well on YouTube. So Hasbro came after our asses.
Hasbro.
And
Famously litigious Hasbro.
yeah, so it seems, because I woke up to a strike. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I was going to say it was a disaster, but it was very much enjoyable. I had a great time.
Good.
And yeah.
Most of it's up there, what I could recover from different sources.
And do you see what happens when neither me or Ben is here?
I know.
All these technical glitches that appear.
My animalistic side takes over.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
provide the static electricity that keeps all the electrons in check.
Exactly. You don't have to go mining for it
No.
on the internet at all.
There you go.
It is what it is.
And then the people who were watching live for the whole 6 hours got the full hit.
Yeah, we had comments from people saying,
This is the best stream ever.
what's going on? I fell asleep at 3 a.m.
Going on.
and I woke up at 4 and you were still going. What happened to the stream? I was like, sorry.
Are you ready for a 24 hours, do you think, Phil?
Oh, God.
We've done, what was 300? How many hours was that? Was it 11 or 12?
I think you did till
half
6 in the morning, didn't you? I think
Mm.
that particular time. So that's
If I stayed sober,
10.
I could do 24 hours, definitely.
Is that the mariachi band one?
no, that might have been 100.
300, we had loads of people in the Zoom.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
And maybe on the phone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, have we any big milestones coming up? 420.
420?
That's not a milestone.
Not really. We could have a cannabis episode.
Plus, we've got an elongated guest next week.
Have we?
Yeah.
An hour and a half, is it?
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
UFOs, though, is it?
oh, yeah.
UFOs.
it
And
Tom
not
DeLonge?
just UFOs, anything para.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, he knows about everything para.
Paragliding.
We've got power, parasailing, paragliding.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Parachutes.
It's Steve Mira next week.
Yeah.
So we're going deep.
Deep into.
Have we done a UAP UFO episode? I
Not
don't
for
think we have.
years, not for a
it
long
was-
time.
What's his name? I still remember it.
Terry.
Terry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangles.
Terry
Camping
Cratchit.
triangles.
Yeah, I remember there was a guy. Was he called Terry? The
No,
American guy.
Yeah, Terry Lovelace, was it?
He was
Yes,
a judge,
Lovelace.
wasn't he? He was a
Yeah.
judge in Hawaii.
Yes.
Was he yeah, but he was ex-military as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was his story, wasn't it? That it was when he was in the military.
When it was the OSS before the CIA,
Oh, right.
the Office of whatever service
When did he turn into the CIA?
during the Cold War.
Oh, okay.
There's a new
didn't think
Bob
he was that
Lazar thing on Netflix as well.
A new one.
Well, I heard because he was on Rogan again.
Right, okay.
Oh.
that's
So it's on Amazon, I think.
Is it? It's on one of them.
And Joe was saying, "Oh, I listened to like the first half an hour," and he was saying, "Oh, yeah, how you use like AI to recreate your experiences," and I was like, "Oh my god, like an AI film."
I mean, what else could he say though that he's not already said now?
Well, they're promoting the film.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Film done.
That's what I mean. So I don't know.
But they've used AI to recreate him as he was discovering this stuff,
right,
in S4.
Oh no, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
it's like a remastered version.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not seen it. I don't want to say it's. I've not seen it.
It sounds cool, his stories and stuff, and what he saw.
He seems like a credible guy. Same with Terry Lovelace. When we had him on, he was incredibly credible.
Incredibly credible.
Incredible. He was incredible.
He was not incredible. He was credible.
He was disincredible.
Yes.
Uber credible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uber credible. He was crumbable.
Are you going to watch it? The Bob
Maybe.
Bob Laser?
I saw it, and I'd be better if it was lasers.
I think I remember. I have listened to his Joe Rogan that he's done. I think has he been on a few times? Was that only second? Just one.
His first time.
No, it's like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, I remember listening to him then. And I think I have watched a documentary where he's talked about it, and they've done like recreations of scenes and things like that. And I don't think I've ever managed to get through it.
Yeah,
it was a bit boring. So, but I listened to the first podcast.
La-di-da.
Well, yeah, the podcast was interesting. Listening to him talk about it at length, for 3 hours or whatever, all these stories and that. So,
Helen, R.I.P. Nick
oh
Pope.
no, yeah.
We tried to get him on, didn't we, years ago?
During the Strange Times.
2021, I want to say.
Yeah, but he said he was too busy, unfortunately, at the
which
time.
is fair enough.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's probably one of the more famous sort of UK-based UFO researchers, Nick Pope. And again, going back to the credibility, he was he MI6 or MI5 or something? He had some connections there,
right,
which lended credibility to him as a witness. So yeah, sad times. He got some sort of turbo cancer, didn't he? I think. And
I don't know.
It was only recently that I think that I announced he was ill. And,
oh dear.
Yeah, it's not good. So,
no.
Shame. He wasn't an old man.
No.
What can you do?
Nothing.
No.
Death in Texas.
Can't do anything.
Can't.
No.
So, may as well stop talking about it. If you could do one thing, what would it be? No,
what would you do? You could do one thing.
Oh, we're talking about you can't do anything about death in Texas. Which one would you get rid of?
Taxes.
Yeah. I think I'll be the same.
Would you like me to give you a more detailed answer to that, Ben?
No, taxes is fine.
Right, okay.
It'd just be Uber or some of the other rideshare services.
I used Cabify when I went to Spain. It's a Spanish thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Cabify.
DD cars where it's at.
DD cars?
DD car.
Is that the Great Communist Party version?
It certainly is. And it's like 80p to go
anywhere.
100 miles. So it seems.
Is that not because of the, exchange rate?
I think it's just everything's better.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
In the land of China.
Cars are...
Personal freedoms.
That's true.
Personal freedom's overrated.
Yeah. You don't want to decide what you want to do with your life, do you, Ben?
I decided which taxi I was going to get. And
yeah.
I EP for.
Mm-hmm.
DD car.
Right.
It's the future or the past. I can't decide.
There is a company in America, I think, isn't there, where they have these self-driving taxi cabs.
Lyft? Is it
Lyft?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I think it was Waymo, isn't it?
No, that's the money thing, isn't it? Is it?
I don't know.
No, it's Venmo.
I thought it's Waymo. I thought there's something called Waymo. Waymo, And all the cars that I've seen are those, are they called I-types? Those electric Jaguars.
Oh, yeah.
And they always, well, there's lots of videos of them getting confused with, I believe they're called trolleys in San Francisco.
Oh,
So like
yes,
trams,
yeah.
we would call them trams. And have a trolley system, and it can't figure out what to do if a trolley's coming because it doesn't behave like a car.
Yeah.
And also there's lots of videos about them pulling out onto roads and, like, you know, taking the wrong turns, going down wrong lanes and things like that. Allegedly. It could all be AI slop, as far as I know these days.
I'm not sure the world's ready for driverless taxis yet, although, yeah, I've seen them in China as well, and I've not been in one, but I don't think I would avoid them for...
Would you be more comfortable getting in one if it was a Johnny cab?
Definitely.
And it had an animatronic
An inflatable driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then would you snap it out in a fit of rage and grab hold of the steering wheel?
No!
Would you?
I would, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Without a second thought.
So
Get you bastard, Cohagen! No.
we had our previous guest. Was it Johnny Vedmore? Said that they were going to trial, or they were bringing out driverless cabs in London.
Oh, would he?
I think it's the future, isn't it?
You would have thought so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. Driverless cars. They already...
HGVs and all the rest of it.
I remember
Buses,
watching
trains.
Top Gear. Must be 20 years ago, where there was this first, I think it was a Mercedes that would parallel park.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago. But
My car does that.
the thing is that our car, if it sees you crossing over the white lines, it'll pull you. It's like, it fucking freaks me out, man.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, what if I haven't got my hands on the wheel? Rolling a fat one or something, you know?
Well, I've heard people have done experiments around that. And if you take your hands off, it doesn't do it.
Okay.
It doesn't pull in the same way.
Right.
Feels lighter.
The thing is, I want to be in control if I'm driving the car.
Yeah.
I don't want it doing... I remember...
You can turn it off, Carl.
Yeah, you probably can. Yeah. Well, you can at the minute, but maybe if it comes to the point where, the self-driving cars have less accidents than human-piloted, chimp-piloted cars.
Yeah. Animalistic.
The insurance premiums will be such that if you turn off these systems, you'll pay a penalty.
Yeah.
I remember, traction control. I remember when that came in, the first car I had with traction control, it's like, I don't like this.
You can't wheel spin it out your mum and dad's drive.
I know what to do with it. Aquaplanes.
Yeah.
What's that? Put your foot down.
Fucking pray. I went across 3 lanes at M6 once at about 100 mile an hour on an aquaplane. You got to turn into it.
Yes.
You have to turn into so your back end pulls out. You got to turn into it. People panic and fucking do this, and then they
spin
360 and you're away. You're in central res.
I honestly thought that's why I thought you'd snap up that van I sent you. You're after a new van.
Maestro.
Austin Montego, or whatever it is.
It was a Maestro.
Was it a Maestro van? F-Reg, 500 quid. Petrol, manual.
Dear. 500
Dear
quid.
for that.
Fucking rust. He'll be dropping to bits, man.
Yeah,
it's not going to pass MOT, is it?
He said he was a runner.
Yeah, it's like the Flintstones. There's no bottom in it, and you've got to run. Fuck me. Yeah, I would like. I don't like the tech in cars personally. A lot of the tech. I like is it called Beam or Aircast or something where it plays your music, plays your music off your phone. That's handy.
Apple CarPlay.
Don't be driving for me.
Or Android Auto.
It's just fucking weird. It's like I'm the pilot. I know what's best. I'm doing that because I'm overtaking a fucking cyclist.
Yeah. It'll get to the point where it probably will switch your horn off as well. You're not allowed to use your horn here.
Well, I've not tried it yet. I've not
between
tried the horn
certain
on the
hours, maybe it'll be time limited.
Yeah. I was just laughing because Fiona's just put in, because sometimes I think about this randomly. It's like, hi lads, can you remember the guest you had on one night who went for a piss live on air? He just opened his front door and had a piss on a live stream. That was Bob, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's got a new book out, by the way.
So, how to piss on a live stream.
Yeah, pissing in the wind with Bob Osborne.
Bob's a fucking legend, man. In fact, he should come back. We should get Bob back on.
So he can have another week. That was in the summer, actually. So maybe
Yeah,
it's
it's
coming
been a long
round to
time.
that time, isn't it? Where we should have Bob on again.
Absolutely. I want to go down and see him as well.
Oh, God. Not on that sex rock. Remember the sex rock?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's all right. I'll be in control of I'll be a true human.
Okay.
I'll be in control of my animal urges.
Right, okay.
I'll just be a witness.
A witness to the sex
To
rock.
the debauchery, yeah. No, I love Bob. He's great. He's one of my favourite guests.
Is it?
It's just
Is a good?
fucking fascinating.
Funny.
Yeah, an interesting guy. And
What was his
good-
monkey called? Wanker?
It was something like that, wasn't it? What was it?
A monkey called Wanker.
It was something like that,
He
wasn't
used
it?
to toss it off.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
It's
We're
definitely
going
called.
back,
It was
aren't
something like that, wasn't it? Wanker.
I think it was
or
called
toss it.
Wanker.
Yeah.
Wanker the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have honestly though, he has a new book out because I think Helen posted in The Element this week that she'd just ordered a new copy.
Right.
And usually, because I've got one of Bob's books, they'll be hand numbered and signed as well if you buy them direct from him. So I don't know his Instagram handle, but just look up Bob Osborne, crazy fucker on Instagram, and get whatever his new book is. Probably something to do with Cornwall and Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was.
Ah,
Does he?
some
Oh,
knockers.
in the summer he tends to wear just a waistcoat as well. He had like a waistcoat on last
A
time.
waistcoat.
A waistcoat. A waistcoat. Yeah. It looks very nice where he lives and stuff, and sounds very nice, doesn't it? That part of Cornwall.
It's really appealing to me, that sort of being sort of on the edge of, not on the edge even,
In the middle of nowhere.
being out in the middle of nowhere. In the
Yeah.
It's not, you wouldn't call it wilderness, but isolated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sweet, desolate isolation.
Desolation.
That's why I love Silith.
Yeah.
I love going up to the lakes, like, not Kendall and Windermere, where it's just full of fucking hordes of
Animals.
tourists, animals, subhumans. I like to go where there's just no one.
There's definitely no one going to Silith. So.
You know, when it was first built, it was a beautiful place, Silith, a Victorian seaside town.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, wonderful. If you go to the front, it's amazing.
I didn't realise it was that
You have
big.
these huge, like, Victorian, like this pub we used to go in for dinner, tea, and just like huge, massive room, ornately decorated, and yeah, like a time warp place. It's like it's sort of been left behind
Faded glory.
in the Victorian era, and
Right.
yeah, look, there's something about that place that just draws me to it.
Silith Bank.
Yeah,
I found that with when I went to Northumbria. I thought Northumbria was like that. And it was really nice. We stayed. It was nice to stay somewhere where you can't hear anything.
You went to
That's
Hull, didn't you?
Hull, yeah. Middlesbrough.
I was going to say, there's a few places like that. York is one. And we went on that stag. Norfolk Broads,
Oh, yeah.
you know. Norfolk Broads is one of those places where you feel... I mean, luckily we went at the start of the season, so it wasn't full of subhumans, but...
And it was frozen still.
It was still frozen.
But when we were on that boat, when we were actually out on the Broads, I felt like there was just us seven and no fucker else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
We were
was
just
great.
on our own. Just the world had just disappeared and melted away behind us. And we're out on the open water. Like pirates. Where's the nearest pub? What do they call pubs in pirate times? Tavern. Where's the nearest tavern? Or mirror up here, matey. Jump off the poop deck, chard, and lash this rope on, you bastard. And we're going to a boat. Oh, it's shut. Nowhere's fucking open because it was
Yeah.
March or whatever.
There was a few that were shut, wasn't there?
Okay, blame. Pull up the anchors and stow the sails, and we're off.
Why is this pirate so camp? Is he wearing fishnets?
And then on, what was it, maybe the third or fourth day, we went into Norwich.
We did.
Because we were going to watch a football match. And it was like we were re-entering civilization. All of a sudden, we're going down a canal and there's people with fishing rods. And
I was going to say, do you remember waking up that next morning in Norwich and there was a fishing match, like a match fishing all around us? And there was probably some sign we'd not seen that said, no idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we ruined that day for some people, didn't we?
Yeah,
I remember us cruising into Norwich with
And that was it.
straight out of Compton blurring out of the fucking stereo.
It was
fishing.
a convertible boat as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had a lid that slid. Do you remember?
I do.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, you
slid
could have it
forward,
completely open.
or you could pilot it from within as well.
I remember when we got there, me and Panhead were first there. So we got the tutorial from the hire company.
Yeah.
They took me and Panhead out and told us how to work the boat.
Yes.
And we were just sort of cruising, just two of us, like half an hour. And then they go, here's the keys.
Yeah.
Off you go.
We only
Have
crashed
you?
it.
Twice?
Yeah.
In that bridge.
In the bridge. That was somebody's fault, though, wasn't it? For not untying the front of the boat at the same
It
time.
was Chardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to name anybody.
We basically, a canal boat is difficult to manoeuvre.
Yes.
Right? And we moored up at a pub 10 or 15, maybe 20 yards from a bridge.
There was a seal as well. Do you remember the seal?
Oh, Mr. Seal.
There was a seal resting, watching us, judging.
Yeah.
Sure, that wasn't a Cocker Spaniel.
We were may have been. We were going
Just a
in.
wet Cocker Spaniel.
We were going into Great Yarmouth, and as we got closer to the sea, the river became tidal.
That was a desolate place. Great Yarmouth.
Yeah, it was.
Do you remember when we took dog racing?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
It was pretty grim, that, weren't it?
Horrible.
Well, I remember having chicken in. Do we have chicken in a basket or
We
something?
did have chicken in the basket.
A red basket,
Yeah.
a bright red plastic
Yeah.
It was
basket.
1987.
Yeah. I don't know. It was all right, wasn't it? But yeah, like we were, like you say, we were 20 yards from an archway bridge.
Ah, right. So this is I'd read up on what you do. And the idea is when you moor up, your boat or barge is tied front and back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was designated pilot at this time because we rotated. Everyone had a go, didn't they, over the week, a year we were doing it.
4 days.
So, I'm at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm channeling Picard. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I know what we have to do. I've done a bit of research. We've got a rope tying the back and a rope tying the front.
Mm-hmm.
So Eamon is at the front and Chardy is at the back. They're the rope men. So Eamon at the front, I said, you untie us and push us off. Push the front of the boat off. And just as it coming to line up with the hole in the bridge, I'll give it the beans.
Good.
Like an arrow, like this. And you, Chardy, you just untie us and I'd be ready to jump on. Because when I give it the beans, you're going to be holding on to ropes for it. So, are we ready, lads? Yes. Right. Evan, untie and kick us off. So he unties us, kicks us off, and front at boats going like, I'm looking at the bridge. Bridge is over here. Boat's coming like this. Say, come on, Chard. And he's fucking around with rope. I said, Chardy, untie us. Untie us. And we're past the middle, so the front of the boat is passing the middle of the bridge. Right, did you? Got the rope off. Give it the beans, and we're just going. We're going like that. It's like, oh shit! What do you do? Full reverse. Full reverse. So we end up going through sideways.
Yeah.
Through the bridge sideways.
And it
Aquaplaning.
banged a lot. Didn't it? Yeah.
Good done. Good
Yeah.
done. Good done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking hell. What a laugh.
All good fun.
It was great. It was great.
It was.
Best stag do I've been on.
And it was very cold, though. It was just so cold.
It was cold. Ice on the inside of the windows in the morning.
And I still remember Ben tripping over that step every morning when he going out for his walk at 5 a.m. every morning.
It was a diesel-powered canal barge, and it reputedly had some sort of heating system that blew warm air from the engine,
The diesel engine.
Blue diesel.
the diesel fumes, into your cabin.
Yeah.
Because better choke than die of exposure.
Yeah.
But I think I was sharing with Eamon, and our room's heater was bust.
I don't think mine worked that I can remember. I can remember waking up and the entire cabin, if you would call it that, was dripping with condensation.
Did no one have a room on their own?
No,
Were we all
Panhead.
sharing? You were a panhead.
I think I was on my own for a bit, and then I think Chardy was in it for a bit, and then
I'd have thought Eamon would have had the room on his own because he was the stag.
I thought Aaron had a room at the back. At the back.
Maybe, yeah. There was some side rooms, weren't there? Little single.
I had a side room with my own ensuite.
Oh, very nice.
It was awful. I remember like being hungover and having to drink the boat water, and it was like just full of. They put chlorine tablets in the water tank. It was rank. I was just so fucking thirsty.
You have to drink something. Yeah, it's like what you're going to drink, the canal water.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have had any non-alcoholic drinks on board.
No.
You know,
No.
for you to slake your thirst with. So
I can remember us bringing supply. I had like a loaf of bread stuffed in a rucksack, and 8 cans of beer or something.
I don't remember eating that apart from the.
I think we had a
We had
few
fry-ups.
We had
We had-
fry-ups, didn't we? Yeah.
I seem to remember Panhead being a bit of a Ramsay, a bit of a Gordo.
I remember him washing the frying pan in the river.
I think he felt like a bit of a bitch, and he had to do the cooking and cleaning of the utensils because
Right.
he wasn't any good at
Anything else?
anything else,
Oh,
Yeah.
which is fair dues.
Yeah.
I'm not being facetious, right? I do all the cooking in my house pretty much, so
Yes.
I'm doing it for laughs and japes. But yeah, I seem to remember him doing a lot of the cooking and cleaning.
Yes.
I didn't cook out.
No, thank God.
No,
Yeah.
giant sausage roll,
This was pre
smashed potatoes.
your culinary awakening.
It was, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, it was a time where I wouldn't have known how to cook anything.
No, exactly.
No.
No. You could have reheated something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we went to some pubs and things, didn't we?
yeah.
Was there a lappy involved on that?
There
stag?
was
In
on the
Norwich.
first night, I think, or the second night.
Oh, I think we went back again, didn't we? I think we went twice. I seem to remember going twice.
That doesn't sound like us.
I think we might have gone early and then.
Oh, and there was no one in. Oh, is
Yeah.
that where there was they had a tray of cigarettes, didn't they?
I think that was Newcastle.
That's Newcastle.
Was that Newcastle? Right.
Yeah, that was like weird. That was the most bizarre thing I've ever
So
seen.
you're not mixing up Norwich with Nottingham?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we ended up going twice, but I might be wrong.
I don't remember the Lappy in Norwich. Sorry.
I can just about. I seem to remember it being near a church, or like a square that had a church on it or something. Yeah,
Attached.
maybe they were trained.
Confessional.
Yes,
Specialist, yeah.
yeah.
Crikey.
Shall we do some housekeeping?
Yes.
It's housekeeping time. Don't skip this bit. Share the word through Telegram, Facebook, or tweet. Gouge the eyes, let's raise the tone. Help us grow. We can't do this on our own. Our podcast is in need. Tell your friends and plant a seed. It's housekeeping time. Return some value. It's housekeeping time. Gouge his eyes.
Gouge his eyes.
It's housekeeping time. Focus your chi. It's housekeeping time. Sign up for the newsletter.
Okie dokie. This is a value for value podcast. If you get any value from this podcast, please consider returning some value. There's a myriad of ways of doing this. My favourite way of returning value. Have you smelt something strange, Matthew?
Yeah.
What have you smelt?
I just assumed you'd farted again.
It's not me.
Right. Okay.
Not me. It wouldn't have got past you.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just leaking.
He's got leaky gut.
Seepage.
Maybe.
My favourite way of returning value is word of mouth. People were saying in the chat last week that it was criminal how small our channel is.
It's criminal, isn't it?
How few viewers and subscribers and things we get. And my answer to this is thus. We're not going to get any help from the YouTube gods.
No.
The algorithm. The only way we can grow is for people to share links and post things.
Yep.
Maybe in some weird Rosicrucian Facebook group, right? Post a link for this episode in there. That's how it has to be organic. We need your help to get more people involved and people putting more questions. And we have some cracking, interesting questions in the chat. Yeah. We need more of that. But we need your help to make that happen. So post links wherever you are. Discord servers, Facebook groups, Reddit? Telegram channels. Reddit. I'm sure Reddit's a thing. I've heard about Reddit.
There'll definitely be a Rosicrucian subreddit.
Yeah, there might be a Ronnie Pontiac subreddit.
There might be.
There might be, what's the Riot Girl?
Yeah.
What do you call it? Movement?
Movement, yeah.
There might be that. Post links in there. That's my favourite way of sort of being less passive in your consumption of the podcast, live stream, when you call it, and being more active and getting involved. That's what we're all about.
Yeah. Perhaps you could wear a T-shirt if we were to, offer such things on some kind of merchandising platform.
Right.
And people might say, "Hey, what's that cool T-shirt you're wearing?"
What, like?
It's just a skeleton with a lemon in its digestive system.
Oh, well remembered.
Well, how did that come to be? Well, why not listen to episode 410-ish?
Okay.
And you'll find out. And, this is from the Amish Inquisition podcast.
That's interesting. That's a James Bond joke, isn't it?
The lemon.
Something about Sean Connery and tennis.
Lawn tennis.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
What about this one?
That's a mug with an error on.
This one?
That's a T-shirt.
This
and
one?
It's another T-shirt.
This
It's got
one?
pig balls on it. That's a cup with the same pig testes. And this is 3 weeks to Flat Earth. That's a legacy T-shirt, I would say, from the olden days. Literally a communist hoodie.
And now last one.
And this is kind of your basic splash T-shirt. So, yeah, get them worn. Spread the word.
Yeah,
Be
contribute.
fantastic.
You
Active.
could look in our show notes for a link to the Element server, couldn't you?
You could, and perhaps you should.
And there is a range of ways to interact with the podcast through the Element server, which is a bit like Discord, but we can't have Discord because of certain views that were put forward within there. But you could submit some show artwork. So we've had one submission this week.
Who's this from?
This is from someone called Phil Art.
An active listener, Phil Art.
Now, which we did, we forgot to bring this up. I don't know if anybody noticed in the title sequence, there was a little bit of sparkle.
Oh, yes, there was. I saw that.
The thumbnail was animated.
Yeah, very PowerPoint.
I enjoyed it. I thought, wow.
Clip champ, right?
Clip champed it. Not clip chimp. Clip champ. But look at this. Is this...
I think it's great. I like how you've incorporated the Zeppelin from Led Zeppelin 1 on the at the bottom of the cross there.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I
crashing.
thought it was. Yeah,
it's crashing.
Look, it's not. Is it Led Zeppelin 2?
It might be 2. What's 4? 4 stick. The guy with the sticks. 3's that one. Yeah, it's 2. Is it 2?
I thought it was 2, but I might be wrong.
It's a Led Zeppelin album anyway. They're all great.
It's a black and white image of a Zeppelin going down in flames, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's good old Ronnie.
So, if you want to submit some show artwork, you could do that in the Element server. You could also email us at thearmisinquisition@gmail.com.
What would that get you?
you would become a producer. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
You would be, and that's something you could use on your LinkedIn, I believe it's called.
LinkedIn, yeah.
We are on LinkedIn as the podcast, and we would back up anyone who wanted that evidence if they were applying for a job.
Enhance your credentials with a producer credit from the Amish Inquisition podcast.
Exactly. You could send us news articles or, things that are of interest to you, videos. You could do a birthday shout out.
What do we like most about when people send us news articles that are often lengthy?
You should timestamp them, shouldn't they?
Yeah, that would be great.
Make guest suggestions when we try and act on those as best we can. You can request some focus chi.
Yes.
Is your chi depleted, Ben?
I'm abundant with chi, yeah.
Okay, so you've got room to share some of that chi. But if your chi is depleted or you've got something big coming up, then I would suggest that you put in a focus chi request and we would filleth your cuppeth with some chi. If you're on YouTube, sub, comment, like, ring the bell, hype us, become a member. Anything else?
Super chat, buy us a coffee.
Super chat us. If you are interested in the podcast to a further extent, you could sign up for the newsletter.
Or you could do that, yeah.
And how would you do that?
I think you have to go back to that time on a tradition of sending an email with, in the subject line, just say newsletter, please.
And what's the email address?
The email address is theamishinquisition@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And just, if you do that, we'll pick it up and we'll add you to the list of recipients and you'll receive the Rumspringer newsletter.
And we don't spam, do we?
We don't. We never spam.
No. So
or
what's
any other
what's in the newsletter?
So there's news about the upcoming guests. There's interesting articles occasionally. There's my column. It's great. There's also a discount code for the merch store if you wanted to buy a Pig Bollocks mug or whatever.
Yeah, 10% off, I believe.
10% off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the best way
is to
give us
some money.
Keep the mics hot, keep spinning the reel. Your silvers are armor, your coppers are steel. Echoes in our metal walls, keep it alive. Give us value, your coins and power, fueling our drive.
Go down to the show notes, you'll find a PayPal link there, and you can sign up for a one-off donation or a monthly recurring sustaining donation. If you don't like PayPal, you can buy us a coffee. Sure, it's your choice. Oh, super chats, they work.
Super chats, yeah.
What we're fighting for. Many heads, we stand united as one. Can you value flames of your support have just begun?
Yeah, only you fuckers out there can
save.
and keep the shit show going.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I think it's about time we thank the producers for episode 419. It's a big rollover week because we haven't done any. We had the barn raising the week before last. So, who have we got? Who are the producers for episode 419? We have Alaya, Rona Kesson, Matthew Chin, Simon Neal, the Russian, and Alan Wilson. Thank you.
Thanks. It's amazing.
They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So amazing. And their love are literally the best, mate.
You are extremely cool, guys.
I didn't have it queued up, did
Because
I?
I'm literally a communist.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, literally.
The dwarf.
Current. Grape. The doctor of thugonomics.
Homophobe. The wind.
Giant fucking lenses.
Chest feeding.
Communist.
Based Sigma Chad.
Corn pop. Cunt.
Baby penis.
Inner asshole.
These clockwork clowns.
The dime bar.
The number 11.
The Egan on the bus.
Blind man.
The Big Chungus.
The cripple and the mother of...
Money Pickering.
From hell.
Are you retarded?
I don't get it, never will.
C is always right.
Wish I had something up my ass.
You're getting bombed now.
Is that right?
Dirty and thick.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the bed. Oh, the bed run out. Never mind. I'm a bit out, Nick. Sorry. We haven't done a standard show since like Vedmore, which is 3 weeks ago nearly.
Yeah.
And I don't think we did any housekeeping that week.
Wild.
No,
Who knows?
We definitely have been loose with housekeeping.
Yeah.
The place is filthy.
Yeah, it is. We're making up for it now.
You
Aren't we?
got caught sucking your fingers on the bus.
So ISOs, I've got three. I've got three ISOs. So if anyone who's new, we always end I say always, we try to end the podcast with an isolated clip that's been picked up in the media during the week. And I've got three to choose from this week. The first one is, what's the message?
I'm not sure what the message is.
Oof. Strong, actually.
I'm not sure what the message is.
Messages.
It's Rich Evans from Red Letter Media.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure what the message is.
Okay. Number two, what on earth?
What on earth? What on earth?
It's a bit clipped, isn't it?
Yeah, he's going on to say, I think he's going on to say what on earth is wrong with this country or what on earth is going on with this country. It was, that's the black belt barrister.
What on earth?
And he was doing a video on schoolgirls in Dumfries being handed rape alarms by the police because of certain people hanging around the school during dinner time and end of school day from a local asylum hotel.
Great. I mean, that's a well thought through reaction to a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, so his reaction is like, what on earth is going on with this country?
Is there a better policing solution to, perhaps?
You would have thought so, wouldn't you?
Issues like
Yes.
I mean, you have to commit a crime, don't you?
Just make everything a crime. Feel that easier.
He raised a point where you can, they're called sort of exclusion zones.
Oh, right.
So there's a famous case of an exclusion zone being created around an abortion clinic, and a lady was arrested for praying silently.
Right.
In her head.
Get out of the zone.
Within the exclusion zone.
Yeah.
So he was making a case, well, can we put exclusion zones around the schools? Like, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's just not.
I mean, how could... Well, no. Yeah.
No. Anyway, so we've got...
I'm not sure what the message is.
That's a good one. Strong.
What on earth?
Bit weak. Clipped. And the last one is, for fuck's sake, you can't.
Fuck's sake, you can't.
Who's saying that?
Fuck's sake, you can't.
Oh. I know that voice.
Well, you fucking should know it.
Fuck's sake, you can't.
You should know that voice, man.
Is it you?
Fuck's sake, you can't.
It's the most played voice on this podcast.
Fuck's sake, you can't.
Who's your man?
You want a clue?
Congratulations on becoming a doctor of thugonomics.
Wow.
Where's that come from?
Oh, you don't see? Right, so I don't know for how many years we've been covering Big Chungus and his escapades on the internet site called Cameo.
Yeah.
And Cameo is this website where people will pay Big Chungus, Nigel Farage, leader of the Reform Party, 90 quid or whatever he charges for a personalised message. And this is weeks old now. I just found it by mistake today in my assets. It's been sat there for weeks, but we haven't done a proper We haven't done a headlines of the week, or we've been free and easy for the last several weeks. But the Guardian did an expose because I don't know if they hacked into his account or by some means they found Nigel's outtakes for his cameo recordings.
Oh, nice.
So we might as well play the whole lot, aren't we? I mean, it's only a few, unfortunately. I would have hoped there was more than these. I'm sure they exist.
Yeah.
Send them in, listeners.
I wonder where you've got them from.
Yeah, I'd love to know because it's gold.
Now it's a really big moment because you are turning to our streets. Oh, for fuck's sake. Go on doing what you do. Oh, for fuck's sake, you cunt. Now it's a really big moment because you are turning.
Oh, something vibrates and his eyes go back in his head.
Sorry?
Something vibrates and his eyes roll back in his head.
I think, is it the device he's recording on? It's like getting pinged an Instagram message or something. He's trying to make his 90 quid.
Right.
And he's being rudely interrupted by WhatsApp messages or something. Fuck's sake, you can't.
Now it's a really big moment because you are turning to our streets. Oh, for fuck's sake. Go on doing what you do. Oh, for fuck's sake, you cunt. Now it's a really big moment because you are turning to our streets. Oh, for fuck's sake. Go on doing what you do. Oh, for fuck's sake, you
Where is he there in that last one?
sake, you cunt. Fuck's sake, you cunt.
What's he doing?
Where is he in that last one? Look at his room. He's in a car in the other one, isn't he? But
I mean, it's probably a hotel room. Well, it's probably not a hotel room with that light fixture, but... I mean, that looks kind of industrial behind
that's
him.
what I mean, yeah.
It almost looks like a hospital.
It does. That looks like a hospital, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's why he's so angry.
Yeah.
You do. Oh, for fuck's sake, you cunt.
Oh, no, look at the handle on the door. That's, that looks...
This is a deeper dive than I was expecting.
I'm getting...
hotel.
Like the door's open, though, a little bit.
No,
That's the
not
toilet.
in a communal... Yeah, I think that's a disabled toilet.
It looks like something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a hospital.
Yeah.
What you do. Oh, for fuck's sake, you cunt. Now it's a really...
Or would you have a hanging light fitting in a disabled toilet?
I don't know, would you?
That's not code.
They're normally strip lights, aren't they?
Maybe in a hotel, though.
Right.
A posh hotel, which can sort of play fast and loose with planning laws, with coding.
Codings.
Yeah.
Well, that was special.
Yeah. Story that caught my eye. I've not been paying attention to the news much, but a story that did catch my eye was Kanye West getting cancelled.
Oh, yeah.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. Because of his various ramblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has he not come out and said that he's got bipolar or something and blamed it all on that?
Excuses, yeah.
One of his excuses, there's more than one.
Oh, I don't know.
What's the other one?
So.
The cabal.
From space and doesn't understand humans.
I didn't think it was controversial that he's got mental health issues.
I'm not saying it's controversial.
Well, I don't think he's using it as an excuse.
Right.
I think it's probably nailed on that he has these things.
Oh, yeah, like the bipolar thing, yeah. It has periods of mania.
I mean, you could call it an excuse, but that sounds like victim blaming.
I think there was some people saying about how long the episode of bipolarism was, considering how long he was selling the T-shirts for and spouting his bile.
Well, yeah, I suppose usually...
You're the expert, Matthew.
I'm not on bipolar. That doesn't fit in with it. That's a different... That would be termed a severe and enduring mental health issue.
Do you know how long the episodes normally last? Is it like months?
Well, 30 minutes,
I was looking at this the other week,
with an ad break in the middle?
I think it's a few days to a week, a period of mania.
Okay.
I think, off the top of my head. Simply because you tend to not sleep very much and you can't keep that up forever, basically. And eventually there's a crash. So I think there's bipolar type 1 and type 2. And I'm thinking, I can't remember which way round it is, but one of them you have more depressive periods. And then in the other one, you have periods of mania, then followed by months of depression, basically. Debilitating depression.
Sounds awful.
I find the timing interesting.
In terms of him being banned, you mean?
Yeah. Well, his invitation following the ban. So the Israeli state is quite unpopular at the moment.
Right.
We not agree.
Yeah.
So since the reaction to October 7th, or was it October 6th? I was getting mixed up.
What do you mean? So what they, in terms of what they've done in the Gaza Strip and stuff?
There's that. Then there's Iran.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people think... People have been talking about would it be an ultimatum by Bibi to Trump saying if you don't attack Iran, we're going to drop a nuke on them.
Oh.
And that the Americans were forced to intervene.
Right.
I'm not saying this is true. This is just, I'm talking about what the chatter is online. We've had attacks in this country on Jewish places of worship.
Yep.
It's kind of at a fever pitch, this sort of anti-Semitism
right.
that people are talking about. And he's been sort of, poster child's the wrong word, but he was coming out, from what I know, because I don't really follow pop culture, but a few years ago he was talking about, he was labeling and throwing out words about the Jews, and people throw out these tropes about the Jews run this, the Jews run that, the Jews run the music industry, the entertainment industry, the news media, whatever. It's a well-worn trope. So I find it interesting where we're at this period of, I would say, hyper scrutiny across the West at the state of Israel and its actions in the Middle East, in Lebanon. Didn't they break the ceasefire?
They did it loads of times, haven't they? Yeah.
I mean, this later, so from what I fucking, by osmosis, taken in from the news, that Trump did this ceasefire deal with Iran, and Israel just went ahead and kept bombing Lebanon.
Yeah.
And scuppered it all. It, again, lays credence to these guys online who say that Israel is forcing the US. And then you get this Kanye thing where he gets barred from entering the country.
He had his visa rescinded, didn't he? I think was.
And so people look at the Jewish lobby in the UK and how powerful it is. And is that, you know, where they're leaning on the UK government to not let this guy in. And it goes, you know, I'm a free speech absolutist, so I kind of, I'm not comfortable with this stuff. We're banning, as far as I know, he's not made any statements that would incite violence, like your man at Glastonbury last summer, death to the IDF and all this lot. So I think it's an interesting precedent that the state has set here, where we're not going to let people in for statements they made 3 or 4 years ago about a certain community, maybe because they're being lent on by a certain political lobby.
Who runs the Wireless Festival?
Don't know.
I don't.
They booked him.
Yeah.
Did it not go under?
The whole thing's gone under because it's not happening at all.
No, the festival's been cancelled.
Yeah.
He was the headliner, I guess, for one night.
Yeah.
It's usually a 2 or 3 night festival, I would imagine. I mean, isn't it normally a metal festival, Wireless?
I don't think.
Is it not Donington?
No, that's Ozfest, isn't it? Donington, or the other one, Download.
Download's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just think the timing's interesting. We're getting we're getting an increase of criticism of the state of Israel, and then we have a popular performer being denied entry because of what are characterized as, because I don't know what he said. anti-Semitic statements that he made years ago.
Is
based on that.
Is it anti-Semitic to criticize the state of Israel?
No, of course not. But that's not. He was too loose. From I imagine, because I lost track of Kanye with his third album came out. Right?
we used to listen to that in your car. And
I've been listening to it this week.
All right.
Like, because when I've been taking my eldest to like football and stuff, I used to put podcasts on. I thought he's been getting into music, so we started playing Oasis and things like that. And then I went on Spotify. I was like, why have I have a playlist that's just like bangers, all the bangers, you know. I thought, why have I no hip hop on here? I was getting Outkast, Kanye West, Grandmaster Flash, just all the classics.
Make your playlist public, man. We need to see it.
And College Dropout was like, oh my God, I hadn't listened to it for 30 years. It was like, I was obsessed with that first album. I went and back and tried to find his mixtapes. I remember going into HMV and finding it was either an EP or a mixtape he'd done that had come out maybe in 2002, maybe 2 years before the College Dropout was, because I was that deep into Kanye West when he first made it.
Oh, you'll get cancelled, Phil.
I'm sure, yeah, but you know, the music's the music.
Separate the art from the artist.
I can separate that from his statements. It's like I won't listen to, you know, Bruce Springsteen. He's a raving lunatic if you listen to him on Twitter.
Have you still got that Gary Glitter
songs? Hey, "Wanna Be in My Gang's a banger." Doesn't mean I want to fiddle kids.
No,
it's like you can appreciate a song without.
What is disappointing is I watch a lot of Top of the Pops on BBC 4 on a Friday evening.
Is it still going? Or
Still going. They're through to like the 90s, and then they started the 70s again. So there's loads of stuff, but the 70s and 80s ones.
Top of the Pops 2, you mean, don't you?
No, it's called Top of the Pops now.
What?
But it is Top of the Pops 2 because it's the history of it almost. But a load of the 80s ones are missing because it's your man. Jim will fix it, isn't it?
So hosting. Fuck.
Exactly. So there's probably loads of great performances from artists that you're never going to see again because of this one guy.
I know. I get. So if I come
a bit shit.
The very few times I watch terrestrial television and I come across Top of the Pops 2, I will often sit there and watch it.
It's good.
Nostalgia.
Why can't they could just mute the bits where he's speaking and just put a big black box over him and still have the performances and stuff and all the artists that have been been there.
Do you ever see that clip where he seems to fucking grab someone while he's doing a piece to camera? A girl.
I think I have seen that. Yeah.
Fucking dog shit, man. Anyway, going back to Kanye.
Oh, sorry.
I thought this might be interesting to play. I got some Vox Pops. BBC did an article about Kanye's cancellation. The Kanye-salation. Cancellation. And they did some Vox Pops, so I thought it might be worth playing just to... They're kind of meaningless, but interesting, because obviously they're selected. They probably went out for a couple of hours interviewing people.
15 minutes.
What do you think about Kanye West being blocked from entering the UK? And these are the selections that they decided to air on the BBC website.
I have really mixed feelings about it. I don't like his anti-Semitic statements or beliefs. And I'm Jewish, and so it affects me personally. But I do think that a government that says who can and who can't perform that's dodgy. So it's mixed.
Is this America? Or is this in England? She sounded American here.
It's in England.
Right.
It's the BBC in Leicester Square, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Outside HMV.
I kind of appreciated her view.
Yeah.
Like, even though she's Jewish, she's uneasy with the state being given the power. I mean, as a people historically that had no state... You can understand that reticence to give power to a state.
Yeah.
You know, the state of Israel only was formed in the last century, man. Before that, they were the wandering Jews. They had no homeland. They were dispersed, the diaspora, since ancient times. So I can understand her reticence to give power to a state. Oh, can't play.
It's mixed.
I think he should be allowed to play music, but putting what he does is not right. I don't think that's right, but I still think we should let him do his work.
You can't really be racist to a whole group of people and then expect people to take kindly to you at all. So, I mean, I understand obviously why they don't want him here. Definitely sets a dangerous precedent. Obviously, giving them the power to just stop individuals from coming.
Maybe the government should.
So a lot of the issues here are about the government and that fellow then said it's a dangerous precedent, the government having power to bar people from entry. But haven't we? The UK's been doing that for a while, haven't they? Or barring people from speaking at universities and things like that. I suppose that's like a step behind.
Is it not a difference between the state doing it? So you could take the example of Jordan Peterson.
That was a university decision, wasn't it? Yeah.
Under pressure from students.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you can argue, Jordan Peterson, you're not going to speak at Oxford Union, but guess what you can do? You can book that massive hotel next door and put your own event on there. So there's you freedom to maneuver in that way. But if you're not allowed into the fucking country, then that's it, you're done. Other than online methods. But I mean, they could block it online.
Yeah.
Why not? Online Safety Act. You're not allowed to show your live stream in the UK.
So it's just made me think something about live streaming. So Tyson Fury made some comments a few years ago and blamed that on like mental health issues. Some comments you might term racist, or I think you probably could term racist.
In regards to who specifically, do you know? Do you remember?
Towards black people, I think, from memory, yeah. I think they said some stuff, some things, and possibly homophobic stuff as well. I'm pretty sure homophobic stuff as well. And he blamed that on like his decline into sort of like depression and all the rest of it. But he, like last night, was fighting on Netflix, wasn't he? Signed a deal, and that was broadcast live in the UK and around the world. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? You know, when the government begins to decide what is deemed too offensive, or the right or wrong thing to say, and where it's appropriate to draw the line.
Yeah, the line moves though so frequently.
This is the whole thing Jordan Peterson was made famous for.
Yeah,
Article C16.
Yeah.
You know, who decides what's offensive or not?
Yeah,
that's why free speech is so important. And you can say, well, shouting fire in a crowded movie theatre, inciting violence, okay, you can argue that those are two lines that you shouldn't cross. But when you get into what's offensive, well, what's offensive to you won't be offensive to you, and what might be offensive to me, it's totally subjective. You can't judge that.
No, yeah.
You can, but you're using your own bias of what you think's offensive. It's a bad move when you start going that
about language. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. All of a sudden, you'll have policing, speech in pubs policed.
Yes,
which is coming. I just had a heart attack when I looked at the time. I thought the time was 10:17, and it's not.
It's actually 11:20.
Yeah, we'll just.
I'm not saying it, but the public's voice should be heard. If everyone agrees, millions agree that he shouldn't perform, then
sorry,
maybe the government should.
I gotta roll this clip back because the implication of this comment is quite good.
Maybe the government shouldn't have much say in it, but the public's voice should be heard. If everyone agrees, millions agree that he shouldn't perform, then the government should listen to the people and act accordingly. But as far as I know, I haven't heard anything. I can see why, but I haven't seen anything on social media or on the news. So therefore, the government shouldn't intervene with these things.
What she's advocating for is a referendum.
And I was going to say that.
On whether Kanye should be allowed to enter the country.
Well, could you, rather than just having a referendum, look at ticket sales?
Could you link this to some kind of national identity scheme?
Yes.
And then you could vote through your digital online ID.
You could get like
everything.
A list every morning on your phone. There's like 10 things you have to vote on. You have to make a decision there and then.
And the mob rules. 51%. That's it.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
They're still reheating that digital ID, you know, it's coming.
Well,
they're not going to let it go.
No, I know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, on that note,
sun is getting low.
It is. The sun's gone down.
Yeah.
Don't let the sun gone down. He's gone down.
Yeah.
We have to go.
Such a shame. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Oh. Is it?
What on earth?
Did we pick an ISO?
I don't think we did. Yeah, we did, yeah.
Or did we just go into Kanye West?
Oh, no.
It's got to be fucking Chungus, surely.
Chungus.
Yeah.
So we'll be back next week with Steve Mira.
An hour and a half at least.
It's been a successful podcast, I think.
Yeah.
A worldie.
Oh,
worldie.
Right, okay. Yeah. Top 10 podcasts.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Right.
Share it wherever you are online.
Sharing is caring.
It actually helps.
It does help, doesn't it?
Right.
Yep.
Well, we'll see you next week then.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
What on earth? I'm not sure what the message is.
Wagwante, you sussy chungus. I hope you have a hog birthday. Remember, Brexit means Brexit. Now, remember, if in doubt, kick them out, even if they're not the imposter and didn't vent to electrical. Peace. Sigma Spider climbed up the skibbly spout. And that spider is you, Top Sigma James. Yes, it is. This is Nigel Farage wishing you a big chungus. Congratulations for being the top G skibbity alpha male. Fuck's sake, you cunt!